for details.
Get ready. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale is coming to the State Fairgrounds February 14th through the 16th at the Car Scott Building. It'll be filled to the max with boats ready for immediate delivery featuring Suzuki outboards. Shop center console, runabouts, deck boats, bass boats, pontoons, aluminum boats, and more, all under one roof. Boat Show only savings, discounts up to $12,000, factory rebates, and special financing on site. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale, February 14th through the 16th at the Car Scott Building on the State Fairgrounds, featuring Suzuki outboards, free admission, and parking.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number Limited Edition Smart Bed. Plus free home delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Roses are red, rosés are pink. Total Wine & More has your Valentine's drinks. A tasty champagne makes Valentine's shine, and so does a glass of sparkling wine. Need a great idea? We'll help you pick. But hurry, because Friday is coming up quick. With the lowest prices for over 30 years and curbside pickup and delivery available, find what you love and love what you find this Valentine's Day. Only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be... Limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join our team in the fight against cancer at V.org.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
They score!
WCMC-FM HD1 Holly Springs.
You're listening to The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Now, it's a 3rd and 16 for the Chiefs, and a shotgun snap from their own 24, rolling out of the pocket. Mahomes lines right. It's intercepted at the 40, and picked off by DeGene, who comes to the near side, the 30. Got it back at the 20, breaks the tackle, the 10, the 5, to the pylon. Touchdown! Eagles have got a pick six. It's Cooper DeGene, a 37-yard pick six of Patrick Mahomes. And the Eagles are just decimating Kansas City in this first half.
Oh, those are the words of, why am I drawing a blank on his name? Kevin Harlan. My gosh, we started like that already.
Yeah, it was bad.
I have a post Super Bowl hangover.
Ugh.
Too much pizza.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Carb coma.
I don't know. I made that up. Also, too much caffeine, I think.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of Coke Zero yesterday. My gosh, I got one right.
Look at ya. Look at you. There's hope. Look at this. Look at this.
Last week we talked to various NFL reporter friends, right? Brooke Pryor joined us from Super Bowl. She was down in New Orleans. Our friend Bridget Condon, who is too close to having her baby.
Very pregnant.
She did not travel.
Yes.
She joined us Friday. And before I continue this little story, congratulations to our friend Tim Donnelly and his wife as they welcome in Jace Noel.
Pace.
To the Jace.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Sorry about
Close.
that. Not really. Rhymes.
Right.
Pace
Off
Noel.
one letter.
Woo.
Yep.
Huh. See, it's again. We're 2 minutes in.
Right. Yeah. We need the Coke Zero. Where's the Coke Zero?
Gosh, I hope this is not Harbinger. He is home. He will. I mean, not that like the network is like where's Tim, but if you're listening local on 99.9 The Fan, you won't get Tim Donnelly for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. But he let everybody know that on Friday because I believe Friday they were like forcing the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So congratulations to the Donnelly clan for adding another. We're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Already got Eagles fans.
All right, good.
Already.
Well, we'll talk about that. YouTube.com/AdamGoldShow/99.9 The Fan. Either way, you'll find us. And we are here. We welcome your comments in the little chat box there. We'll get to those. Sometimes Victoria uses them in one-timers. Sometimes she just brings them up out of the blue, which is all fair and good.
And I'm always reading.
Always. I do not. So feel free to slam the host, and Victoria will just not read those to me. And that's fine. I really don't care. But I did get one right. So anyway, back to the story I was telling you about Bridget Condon.
Yeah.
So I get up this morning, do my normal barn chores, and I don't know. I mean, I feel great, but for some reason I'm like dealing with stuffiness right now. I don't know why. Maybe it's
the season.
It's the opposite of what rain should do.
Mm-hmm. It is. I know. Well, prepare yourself because pollen's right around the corner.
Yeah, I know. It's always right around the corner. Anyway, so I come in. I go into take a shower, whatever. I get out. It's like 10 minutes to 8. Bridget is on the West Coast. That's where the NFL studios are. I get a text from Bridget.
Way too early.
That was my first thought. I read the text. She goes, "I'm proud of you," which, interesting. Then I remembered that she was surprised that I was picking the Eagles.
Right?
Yes. Everybody we talked to said the exact same thing. Heck, Sebastian Aho said it to me on Saturday.
Oh, well.
Can't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I thought for 2 weeks we've been talking about this. I thought the Eagles would win the game. I will admit, as I was clicking place wager on my app, I thought, I'm going to get this wrong, aren't I? I'm going to get this wrong.
Mm-hmm.
All of my wagers were Eagles-based except for one.
Okay.
Right? We'll go through those. All of my wagers were Eagles-based except for one. And I thought, man, I am really putting all of these very expensive kind of eggs into one basket here.
If you're feeling it.
But I felt like Philadelphia would win. And what we call that is, at least I do, blind squirrel theory.
I thought you were going to say gut feeling.
No. The game played out sort of as I thought it would.
That
never happens.
Chiefs look like garbage.
Well, I did not anticipate the Chiefs to be blown out.
Yeah. That was an embarrassment.
But exactly what I thought would happen, happened. That never happens. So again, roll the dice. It rolled. It came up where I thought it would. All right, we should begin so I can get right to everything. And we can hear from other people. Will Brinson will join us at the bottom of the hour, as he does on Mondays. Don't think it'll be our last visit with Will. But this, of course, we're done. We have no more games to deal with. So let's get right to it. Eagles and the over. That's what I did. I was still sweating it out because I needed points. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wait a second. We're going to get to 48.5. We're going to get to 49 because I needed that.
Chiefs were allergic to scoring points for a while.
So I'm like, man, I don't need these field goals, Philly. Like, I didn't like it when, Myron Williams, whatever his name was, for Philadelphia when he had the strip sack, and they had the ball at, like, the 15-yard line. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, man, we could score a touchdown here, and now I'm over.
Yeah.
And then personal foul, we're back 15 yards. I'm like, yeah, we're going to end up with a field goal out of this. Like, slow trickle. And then Kansas City scored that touchdown, but it was waved off for offensive pass interference. And I actually tweeted out, I said, actually, what do you call when you do that on Blue Sky? I skied it out. I don't know. I call them tweets on Blue Sky. Blue Sky. That's probably illegal.
I don't know if that's allowed.
So I skied out, and I said, "Is that the penalty that is going to cost me my over?"
Yeah. Yep.
But they scored anyway. So great play, good catch by DeAndre Hopkins. Anyway, Eagles and over hit went off at plus 265. So not hating that at all. Anyway, and again, rarely do things happen as I thought. But I did think going in, and we talked about it, that Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defensive coordinator, wasn't going to let Saquon Barkley beat him. And that was the case. Mm-hmm. Barkley was largely not unimportant because he was very important. And he did have about 40-some-odd yards in receptions. He had one catch down by the goal line, had another handful of short gains, 4 or 5-yard gains out of the backfield. But they weren't going to let Saquon Barkley dictate the game. And in some ways, he did anyway.
He didn't score a touchdown, but I needed that.
He didn't score a touchdown. And that's where I believe Vegas won.
Yes.
Under 60 yards rushing, no anytime touchdown. Mm-hmm. I think there were a lot of people that thought Barkley would be crazy here. And I said from the very beginning, no way the Chiefs allow Barkley to beat them. And they controlled him. But they couldn't control everybody. They couldn't stop Jalen Hurts and good receivers. And if we're being honest here, and I was trying to be honest, even though I also had Jalen Hurts MVP on my card, if you will, the real reason why the Eagles won in the fashion they won and why the game was a laugher was because Philadelphia's defensive line dominated like we have never seen before in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Chiefs couldn't do anything with their defense.
They took Patrick Mahomes and completely flustered him. You could see it. You could see it in his eyes. You could see it in Travis Kelce's eyes that their offense was lost. They had no idea. They created all that havoc. I thought that Mahomes, and I tweeted this out as well. Again, I guess I skied it out. He looked like year one Bryce Young. Even when the rush wasn't there, the rush was there. He ran into trouble. He moved into trouble. Rather than just stay there, he had no confidence that the pocket would hold. So he had to escape when he didn't have to. And he ended up running into trouble. Anyway.
None of his guys could get open either. There was nothing.
It was terrible. It was awful. And he had some guys open, and he made some bad throws, too. We'll go through these things.
And they made some bad drops. Hit him in a bad place. The hands.
We're going to get to that in a second. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni on his defense.
We haven't traditionally blitzed a lot. This year we've been able to get home with our 4-man rush and been able to cover there with the 7 in the back end. We were able to get home today with it as well. Again, we do what we think we need to do to win, not what anybody else thinks we got to do to win. And this was the way we felt like we needed to go about it.
All right, now Andy Reid, what did he think about Philly's defense?
Vic does a nice job with that defense. They played well. They got good players and good scheme, and they executed better than what we did. They coached better, starts with me, and they played better.
All right, so Nick Sirianni points it out. There were 0 blitzes. Philadelphia did not blitz once. And they created that havoc with their front four. You know, the last time I remember that happening in a Super Bowl was when the Giants did that to the Patriots in New Orleans. In Indianapolis. I forget the year. I forget what year it was. But Eli Manning and the Giants winning their second Super Bowl over the Patriots, both times over the Patriots. To me, that was what I saw then. and it probably happened the first time the Giants played the Patriots too. Their defensive line was so good then that they didn't have to blitz. Now, I'm sure they blitzed a few times, but their defensive line basically dominated that game. And that's what the Eagles did. Josh Sweat was amazing. 2.5 sacks. He was all over the place. Jalen Carter was also good in the interior of that defensive line. But they were good all over, at every spot on their defensive line. They were great. And it allowed their secondary to drop 7 into coverage and dominate the game at that level too. Cooper DeJean's pick 6 was a great play. First of all, Mahomes never saw him. Either he never saw him or that's the worst throw he's ever made. I have to assume he never saw Cooper DeJean. The Zach Bond interception, the diving interception, was incredible. Of course, Mahomes probably would have thrown the ball better had he not been bumped from behind because Josh Sweat pushed NC State's Joe Thuney. He just bull rushed him right into Mahomes. So, he's being hit as he's throwing it. So that ball was horribly thrown, inaccurately thrown. But again, I thought Mahomes created his own problems in the game, even though he was bothered by a pass rush. Here's Mahomes on 2 first-half turnovers.
Threw 2 interceptions in their end. I threw a pick 6, and I threw a pick that they returned to the 5-yard line, and they scored immediately after. So when you give a team 14 points, especially a really good football team, a Super Bowl football team, then not a lot of good things happen. And so that's why I take ownership in this loss more than probably any loss in my entire career, is because I put us in a bad spot.
He did. They didn't return that second interception to the 5. It was just Bond just stayed on the ground at the 15-yard line. Doesn't matter. A.J. Brown scored a touchdown right after that. So both of those turnovers led to 14 points. So if you think about what the first half score might have been otherwise, were it not for those 2 turnovers, 10-0?
Maybe.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Now, the Eagles, the Chiefs weren't moving the ball anyway.
Mm-mm.
So they didn't get across midfield until the third quarter.
I was going to say, I think they only had 1 first down in the first quarter, and then the second came in the third.
Right. Their first down happened on their first play from scrimmage.
Right.
It was a pass to Juju Smith-Schuster for like 11 yards. That was the high water mark of the first half for that offense. That's how good Philly's defense was. But so Jalen Hurts was always going to get the MVP. But the reason why that game was what it was, which was a blowout, was because Philly's defense was so great that Kansas City could do nothing offensively. And therein lies the difference. What did Mahomes say in the locker room to his team?
I didn't have to say much. I thought other leaders, Chris Jones especially, spoke, and like we talked about, it hurts. It's going to hurt for a while, but how can you respond from it? We have a great football team. We still have a young football team, and a lot of these guys will be their first time having a defeat in a season. And how can you get better? How can you not be satisfied with just getting here and taking your game to the next level? And that starts with me and the other leaders on this team, but it'll feed throughout the entire team, and hopefully we can come back next season and put up a better effort.
Look, Brady lost 3 Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
By the way, even the Fox crew was flustered at halftime. Did you watch the game, right?
I did.
Right. So they do 2 quick segments because we had to get to Kendrick Lamar, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that at some point. But at least 3, if not 4, of their far too many person panel, at least 3 said the exact same thing. It takes just 1 play. Okay, I get it. We all want the Chiefs to come back and make this a game because we want a good game.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you had?
Right.
It just takes 1 play. First of all, when it was, what was the score, 24? 24-0, 27-0. What was the score at halftime?
It kept.
I don't remember.
It kept growing.
I don't remember.
Oh, it was 24-0.
24-0 at half. Like, it doesn't take just one play.
No, it's gonna take a few.
It's gonna take a lot more. Because what the Eagles were doing wasn't a scheme. They didn't have to scheme. Our 4 guys are kicking your ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they did. Our front 4 is destroying your offense.
And then the books came out on the bench on the Eagles side.
That's right. So if the only difference was going to be, will Kansas City keep more players in, more blockers in to protect Mahomes, but that would mean he'd only have 2 or 3 available options against 7 players in defending them. They were in a bad spot. The only way that was going to change was if Kansas City was able to run the football, and they were not.
Mm-mm.
They could not run the football. They didn't even try to run the football. Now, granted, the score dictated that in the second half. And they didn't have the ball enough in the first half. So it was twofold. Even though the Eagles weren't running the ball effectively, they were still running it. What have I said about rushing? The number one stat isn't the yards. It's the carries. So Saquon Barkley, consider this. Barkley was relatively ineffective on the ground, except that Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore didn't stop handing it to him.
Mm-hmm.
They kept going because it was part of what they do, and even if they weren't super successful, they needed to keep showing it to Kansas City so that they would have to honor it. So Saquon Barkley had 25 carries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
20. Like, he
Saquon
wasn't
Barkley.
going anywhere.
No.
But he had 25 carries. That is always going to be the most important stat for a team that wants to run the football. Look, he wasn't effective in the game in terms of gaining yards and having a huge impact when he had the ball. But he had a huge impact in the game because he made Kansas City focus on it.
And he burned time.
And he did, and that's what they did. It was a ball control offense that kept moving the ball primarily through the air. Right, although Jalen Hurts had 72 yards on the ground himself.
Right.
Here's Barkley on the season he had.
Hell of a year, right? I couldn't do it without, the big boys up front, everyone on this team. I just appreciate them, the whole Eagles organization of, me being a newcomer, welcome me in with open arms and helping build confidence back in me too. That was definitely helpful. So it was a hell of a year, but all the numbers and stats or records is cool, but the best thing is to be able to hold that Lombardi trophy.
And to have a middle finger to the Giants.
It's funny. And we'll get into this with Will in about 10 minutes. The Giants were smart to not keep Saquon Barkley. And it's not that they didn't think Saquon Barkley was great, right? But they were smart to let him go. Because when you're bad, let's put it this way. A great running back. How about, we'll say this, the best running back in the game is not going to make a bad team good. Just isn't. It's going to make a bad team less bad, but not good. That's just not the way the game is built today. A great running back can take a really good team, though, and make it great. And that's what it did for the Eagles, and to an extent, that's what it did for the Ravens, right, with Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But you are never... My criticism of the Giants when they drafted Saquon Barkley wasn't that he wasn't good enough. It was like, why are you taking a running back number 2 overall when you stink? You don't build your team around a great running back unless you're like, the running back is almost, to a lesser extent, is like the quarterback. Like, that running back is the last piece you add.
Yeah.
So the Eagles went and said, man, we got a great team. You know what we really need? We need a great running back behind this great team. Boom. Done. That was smart. It was smart for the Giants to let him go. Did you like Kendrick Lamar?
I didn't mind it. I mean, he was entertaining, I guess.
Well, it was good.
I want a rock show. So I went into the Super Bowl like, can we get a rock show? It's been a while.
It has been a while. But I thought he was good. I thought Samuel L. Jackson, that little addition to the show probably softened it for a lot of, I'll just say, people who look like me. I think it probably helped people out, maybe of my age too, right? But he was good, and I thought they built towards the end. They built towards the not like us. And I was, frankly, a little like, was that Serena?
I know. I had to do a double take. I didn't realize that was his ex either.
Well, I don't think it was Drake's ex. I don't think. Whatever. I mean, I don't follow it, but I don't think it was. I think she was more annoyed by Drake, right, than anything else. But again, I am not the authority on that at all. I just thought it was awesome that she was on stage. And I went, wow, Serena looks... Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The ads were meh. We'll get into...
No, that was disappointing, too.
Only $8 million an ad.
Such a meh Super Bowl.
Only $8 million an ad.
Ugh.
Real quick, final thing before we break. Will Brinson will join us at the bottom of the hour. Literally, Duke slipped up at Littlejohn. They've had 3 losses this year. All 3 losses were the same. The same. At the end. Ball in Cooper Flagg's hand with a chance to win and turnover. This one, not his fault. I think he scores if he doesn't slip. Doesn't matter. He slipped. End of discussion. Duke gets their first ACC loss. I think it'll be their last, but we'll see. Carolina edged Pitt in a bit of a rock fight. That game was a little bit of a hard watch. NC State, this close. Good comeback late. This close to winning at Stanford. Dontrez Styles, Marcus Hill, Trey Parker all did work. Parker's 3 at the buzzer was, 60% down and spun out. He clearly was fouled after the shot. Like, I don't understand why that's not called. I don't, but it wasn't called. By the way, how many times last night in the first part of the game did Tom Brady say, these games, you got to let the players decide it? Yeah, dumbest comment any broadcaster can make.
I'm surprised that they had him on there.
Well, Brady?
Yes.
Well, he's the number one guy.
Greg Olson's so much better. But
it isn't about that.
It did cross my mind that they just wanted Tom to be involved in another Super Bowl.
No, but he's their number one guy, so he's always going to be. He's always going to do that. By saying we let the players decide it means that you allow fouling and penalties to go. And that isn't letting the players decide it. That's bad, too. Call what you call. I didn't like the first call, the offensive pass interference on A.J. Brown, but I could see why it was made because he did push the guy in the face. And there were a couple of questionable calls that went against the Chiefs. And I didn't like those either. But want to let the players decide it? No, you don't let the players decide it. Call what needs to be called. Right? That's... Tom Brady is just kind of okay at his job. Just kind of okay.
Very mid.
All right. Will Brinson, that's his name. He will join us when we come back, and we will discuss Super Bowl 59 with him next.
Chapel Hill to Charlotte, Greenville to Greensboro. Your sports, his state. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
Looking at both UNC and NC State basketball this year, it has to be more than just you look good when you hit shots. The coaching, both Hubert Davis and Kevin Keatts, have to figure out a way to put their team into better positions rather than just hoping the players can knock down the shots in tougher positions. It's not great coaching if someone hits a fadeaway three.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Don't go through another year with all that high interest debt. Let Loan Pronto wipe it all out now. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan makes it easy to pay off all your credit cards or tackle that 2025 home improvement project. Get cash in your pocket fast. No appraisals, no paperwork, no waiting. Loan Pronto's AI-driven tech gets you approved and funded in as little as 1 day. One client got $150,000 approved in under 24 hours. Paid off all their credit cards, 2 cars, and a personal loan, saving over $1,500 per month. With low fixed rates and lightning fast transfers, you can do it too. Consolidate debt, improve your home, take control of your finances. Imagine being credit card debt-free by this time next week. Don't wait. Call Loan Pronto now, 919-381-1760, or visit loanpronto.com. Get a free rate quote with no hard credit pull, 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling, we do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling, quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
Hey guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and Cupid's arrow is pointing straight to Bailey's. We're here to help and make it easy for you to find the perfect gift for the one you love. Bailey's has something for everyone and every budget. We have a huge selection of jewelry and gifts for under $500, from David Yurman, Apolita, Mickey Moto, Lagos, and more. And if you're looking for something extra special, we also have an amazing selection of diamond jewelry. Shop in-store or online at baileybox.com. Give her a gift that's better than chocolate or roses with the easiest and can't-miss way to make her Valentine's Day extra special with a little black and white striped box from Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Located in Raleigh's Village District and Crabtree Valley Mall, also in Cary's Fenton, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Just a little reminder from me, Marcy Bailey. Every woman wants a Bailey box.
Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Hims & Hers Weight Loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at forhers.com apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
With Hers, you can access doctor-trusted weight loss plans, like compounded GLP-1 weekly injections with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy. Based on pricing through Hers, save up to 91% per month with compounded semaglutide, the same active ingredient as the name brand drug. Get started at forhers.com/start today. That's forhers.com/start.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS before you call your insurance company. The insurance company wants to pay you the least amount possible. Law Tigers are riders too, so we understand what your bike and gear are worth and what you're going through after an accident. Your case evaluation is always free, and we don't get paid until your case settles. Call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS, North Carolina's motorcycle lawyers. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
Gold. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with, like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later and you're like, ooh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Is this because it was an easy... Yeah.
Oh, no, it's all Eagles bump songs today.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
What do we owe this honor, pleasure?
The Eagles winning the Super Bowl?
Oh.
So I figured why not just have, I mean, the Eagles have a lot of really good songs, so I thought perfect day to play the Eagles' greatest hits.
I cannot believe that I didn't get that.
Oh, it's fine. It's Monday.
Why are we bumping with the Eagles today? I don't know.
Oh, no reason.
Never mind. Will Brinson, in the latest example of Save the Program, we turn to you, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. Let me just start with the MVP. The Eagles, yes.
They're probably, I mean, they have like 2 good songs. They're pretty overrated.
What?
Yeah, the Eagles are trash, dude.
the band or the football team?
The football team's really good. The football team dominated the Chiefs.
How dare you say the Eagles are trash? How dare you? You've lost your mind. We might have to hang up. All right. Gosh, I can't believe you said that out loud in America. Although, who knows? Anyway, let me start with Jalen Hurts.
Ban the penny.
Hurts was the MVP, rightfully so.
Yeah.
But the reason why that game was what it was because Vic Fangio's defense, specifically that defensive front, was, I mean, from a different planet. They were that good. I can't remember the last time a front four dominated a super in my lifetime. It's probably happened. Steelers, Steel Curtain.
How about the 2020 Super Bowl and Todd Bowles Buccaneers against Patrick Mahomes? I mean, a lot like that.
But that was, you could understand it because the Chiefs were missing both of their tackles, right? Yep. The Chiefs' offensive line was about as healthy as they've been all year.
Yeah, I mean, you still got Joe Chan. I mean, yeah, look, I'm not going to try and take away from the Eagles' defense. They played awesome. They didn't blitz a single time, which is unheard of for Vic Fangio. The last time he played Mahomes was I think it was in the playoffs when he was missing both of his pass rushers, including Bradley Chubb. Blitzed like 66% of the time. Mahomes carved him up. They didn't blitz at all. We got pressure home with 4. I mean, we talk about this. The Giants did it against the Patriots.
Yeah.
If you're playing an all-time great quarterback, and Mahomes is still that, even though, and I wrote about this from CBSSports.com. Like, I think the Brady Mahomes comparisons, we got to smash the brakes, hit the parking brake on those things.
Well, we should have been doing that anyway.
Probably. But yeah, to beat a great quarterback, you need to get home with 4. And if you're getting home with 4 and you've got good players on the back end, you can really do some damage to any quarterback. You can definitely do some damage to an all-time quarterback. And the Eagles clearly, motivated. I mean, clearly they have a ton of talent. And Howie Roseman did an incredible job. You think about losing Jason Kelce, losing Fletcher Cox. You do that and you still replace those guys who are the literal backbone of your team and in the locker room, and they still go out and win the Super Bowl. I mean, you're right. The story is the defensive line and how they pressured Mahomes all night. Immediately. I think I saw Mike Sando's article on The Athletic. It was, Mahomes' time to throw was 3.38 seconds, which time to throw is a tricky stat because, one, it can imply you're having great protection, or it can imply, you're running laterally without being able to throw the ball because your receivers are covered. And when Mahomes is in those situations, his production, his EPA plummets. And this was one of those cases.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And I think it occurred to me, and I put this on social media. I was using Blue Sky last night. Mahomes looked to me like year one Bryce Young. And that ain't a good thing. Because I thought Mahomes was pressured all the time. And when he wasn't, he was escaping nowhere. He ran into pressure when he wasn't pressured. So I thought he looked bad.
And we talk about these Chiefs teams that won the Super Bowls and have won all these games. They won 17 games, 12 were one-score games, 12 featured comebacks, all that stuff. When you're living on the edge like that and sort of playing with fire in terms of, how you beat teams, if you don't execute properly, and it's going to be a lot harder to win. If you execute really poorly, which is what the Chiefs did, it's going to be impossible to win. And you saw that, with the drop by Hopkins when he's wide open on that third down. Whether it's, the 2 interceptions by Mahomes are as bad as you'll see probably from him ever in his career. The one down by the goal line, it's like
that was bad.
What are you doing?
Well, he was hit. Like Josh Sweat shoved Joe Tooney into him as he threw. Sure. So that ended up being a terrible pass.
Tooney had a bad day. Tooney had a bad day at the office too. Let's be real. He did not play well at left tackle. It's not his natural position.
Right.
He shifted out there and been good during the playoff run. I'm not saying I'm just saying the thing with Mahomes, you get blocked, you get hit, all of that, but you're down 17-0 at half. And you're getting the ball, maybe, you can make something work. 24-0 just became it was just too much at that point in time. And just a stunning first half outcome, for a team that was favored by 1.5 points and has Andy Reid and has Patrick Mahomes and just did nothing on offense. All the credit in the world to that defensive line of Vic Fangio.
And I said this earlier, if Mahomes doesn't make those 2 throws, the first throw was worse because he clearly never saw Cooper DeJean. He never saw him, and he should have seen him because he had rolled out.
In his defense, he wasn't expecting a Caucasian defensive back.
Very, very good point. It's a very good point that I think a lot of people probably would overlook. But he never saw him.
I had a friend of a friend text me and he said he's a huge Eagles fan. He said, "Tell Ben Franklin to move over. There's a new greatest Caucasian in Philly history."
Oh, wow. There are a lot of jokes that we could add on to that. But so we never saw him. The interception by Zach Bond was absolutely amazing. Again, I think Mahomes was hit, but it is what it is. By the way, Zach Bond looks like the unnecessary action hero, doesn't he? He does. He looks like the unnecessary action hero.
And, the other thing too, on that Mahomes story, and again, I know he's hit, I know all of that, but if you're not down 17-0, maybe you're not forcing that throw,
right?
You know what I mean? There's a certain element of pressing, trying to score before the half,
no question,
because you're getting the ball back, and because look, the Chiefs were never winning the game; it's never close. I'm not trying to spin it as anything other than that, but if you do go score there, and you pick up even 3 points and you score coming out of the half, and suddenly it's 17-10. It's just one of those things where in these games, we have been getting our asses kicked, and it's 17-10, and then instead it's 24-0. It feels a lot more like this. It just changes. It sort of changes everything. Not that I thought the Chiefs were coming back.
I agree with you. I didn't think they were either, and even though the Fox crew tried to make it just takes one play. Actually, it's going to take a lot more than one play.
The guy calling the game did come back for 28-3. So, and the last time there was a pick six in the Super Bowl was that 28-3 game.
Right.
So I guess if you're going to have anybody caught trying to make these preposterous, just one play, you can kind of flip things around. Tom Brady would be the guy, right?
No, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Bradshaw and Johnson.
Right.
Those guys at halftime were like, it just takes one play. Nah, it's going to take a lot more based on what we just saw. Because what we just saw was utter dominance. The Chiefs had 1 first down. It was their first play in the first half. They didn't cross midfield until the pass to Xavier Worthy, late in the third quarter. That was the first time they crossed midfield. But
I wrote a story where the title was "Has there ever been it's an SEO game, right? But it's has there ever been a shutout in the Super Bowl? Because there never has been. We got close to that Broncos-Seahawks game a few years ago where the Broncos, that high-flying Peyton Manning offense, scored with 0 seconds left in the third quarter. It kind of felt like the Chiefs were going to get shut out in this one.
It absolutely. If the Eagles wanted it to be a shutout, I think it could have. All right. So I thought that Mahomes was shook early. The first couple of passes to Travis Kelce were bad. I don't even understand why those are classified as drops. Those aren't drops. Why? They refer to those as. I'm like, are you kidding me? One pass was down by his ankle behind him. The other pass was behind him on the hip, and he got hit. I'm like, I didn't think that.
Didn't it feel like, reading the quotes from the Philly defenders where several of them said that the whole three-peat idea. And I had written about the three-peat trademark before the game.
Right.
And while writing it, it's kind of like, man, yeah. And I included this in the story. It's like, this is going to sound stupid, but you better believe that the Eagles will be motivated by the three-peat thing. And I'm not saying that the Chiefs showed up or like, where's our third ring?
Right.
But watching the game, it felt like one team was supremely motivated to deny the other team, or what the other team thought was kind of rightfully theirs.
Well, yeah, here's what we talked about it last a week ago, and I talked about it the week before and all week, that the number one unit that had not been discussed, we talked about Saquon Barkley, we talked about the Chiefs all over the place. We hadn't talked about how great Philly's defense was.
Yeah, that's defensive football. Or close to one of the two with the Ravens, probably.
I mean, they were probably better than.
Yeah, I think statistically they were the best scoring defense in football. I mean, the Eagles lost one game after their Week 5 bye,
right.
And it was when Jalen Hurts got hurt and left the game, and the Commanders stole one from him. So this is the team in Philly. So I think you can make the case over plenty of years, and you can talk about these Tom Brady situations too, where I think the Falcons game applies, where the Atlanta Falcons in that Super Bowl 10 years ago were the better overall team. And I think the 49ers certainly once the Brock Purdy game, maybe twice, maybe not, maybe that Chiefs team was better, but like I think the Eagles now twice and the 49ers once against Mahomes were certainly the better football teams and the better football rosters.
Right.
And the biggest difference, and again, like, so I don't really, I'm not bothered by, being wrong about my pick of the Chiefs to win. I mean, it was dead ass wrong, but like, it's the advantage, the reason you pick the Chiefs, the reason you back the Chiefs and back Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And like, that's the deciding factor. And if he's playing poorly, and he's completely pressured. And by the way, that's his worst game as a pro.
Yes.
Regular season, postseason, preseason, whatever, ever. And it's like easily his worst game as a pro. If a guy who is trying to make a claim for greatest quarterback of all time goes out and lays an egg like that against a really good roster and a good defense, that's the result you're going to get 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, look, I was surprised at the blowout, but the Eagles' defensive front really made it so, plus 2 individually great plays on the back end. The DeJean pick six, great name for a podcast. I got to start one like that. And the Bond interception, which led to the A.J. Brown touchdown. I mean, if those 2 things don't happen, if the Eagles only get a field goal out of the DeJean interception, maybe the same thing at a Bond, or if that doesn't happen because that was a great individual play, then maybe we're talking about a different thing. But those things happened, and that's why Philadelphia just created all that separation. But then we saw Jalen Hurts be able to throw the ball down the field. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to get all sorts of crazy. He's the same quarterback I thought he was ahead of time, which is I think he is a much better version of Dak Prescott. Given the running ability, he's a top 10 quarterback, and that's not even up for question. Like, it might be a top 6 or 7 quarterback, sure. But he's not Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, but he is with the right team around him. You can absolutely win a Super Bowl, which has been proven. Heck, they probably could have won it a couple of years ago if he doesn't fumble that ball. So sure. I have zero. But we're going to make more of Jalen Hurts than we need to, and for some reason we disparaged him all last year and the year before. He was hurt last year. I don't even understand why we do that.
I think Hurts is an incredible leader.
Yes.
I think he is an above average passing quarterback. I mean, he can get better. Like, guys get better as they get older.
Made some great throws yesterday.
And like he can have some great games. But I think, again, we talk about these, you talk about teams and quarterbacks and coaching and how they all fit together. What the Eagles want to do on offense, behind a really good offensive line. Like, I mean, Howie Roseman built this team through the trenches on the defensive and the offensive side. You know, you lose like Jason Kelsey is a stone cold lock for the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And Fletcher Cox is a borderline Hall of Famer. And you lose both of those guys in the offseason. You change coordinators on both sides of the ball, and you still come out and have a dominant season. It's because that roster is so good and so deep. And you know, it's just you don't have that with. And so, like when you have a guy like Jalen Hurts, who's a really good leader, who can pass the ball well when he's protected and when he's got these weapons, and then is such a threat with his legs, and you also have Saquon Barkley.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a loaded roster, and he fits in nicely with it. I mean, as I think a lot of quarterbacks would.
People have been saying it for months. Best roster in the league. Shocking that the best roster in the league would also win the Super Bowl. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. We got a lot more football to discuss. We should do this again in a week and discuss more football and see what happens next year, and we'll do that if that's okay with you.
Let's do it. Talk to you next week, man.
All right, brother. Take care. Guys. Will Brinson here on the Adam Gold Show. When we come back, one-timers, questions from Victoria and maybe the masses. Next.
From the heels,
touchdown, Carolina,
to the canes.
She scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
A crisis moment is any moment where you feel overwhelmed and as if you aren't able alone to handle what's happening. You don't have to be alone with that feeling. And when that feeling comes is exactly when you should reach out, you should get connected, and you should be in community. We care, we listen, we help. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime.
Call, text, or chat 988-24/7. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Hey, it's Adam Gold, and my friends at FanDuel are here to remind you that we are almost in March. That's college basketball's month, and right now, new customers on FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $150 extra bucks, somebody else's money, to bet on everything from conference titles to tournament upsets, even who's going to be cutting down the big nets. FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS. Get in on the college hoops action before March takes over. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? A simple thank you. A friendly smile when you pass a stranger. Looking people in the eye and greeting them with, "Hi, how are you today?" And really meaning it. It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind to everybody. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
Gold. Gold.
Was the hug because of the soft, fuzzy thing you're wearing?
It's a compliment. I'm a great hugger. People like to hug me. So, but yes, it's helpful when I'm soft and fuzzy.
Is that a skill?
It may be, yes.
I think it is a skill.
I think it is a skill.
Yeah.
You know who else gives really great hugs? Mike Maniscalco.
Really?
He is one of my favorite huggers. Yes. Every time I see him, he gives the best hugs.
I'm going to try that at the next home game.
Do it.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. All Eagles.
Yes.
Now just to bother Will Brinson.
I know.
Brian
what a terrible take.
Awful. Brian Geisinger next hour. Mike Maniscalco was here earlier.
He was.
Was a hug exchanged?
2. Yes. I know.
I did
Spoiled.
not. I was
so spoiled.
I could not come in there to hug Mike. All right, let's do it. Questions and answers.
Okay, so you know what? Let's start with a Canes one because I do have football ones, but we have one Canes one.
Sure.
So I did see on Twitter Canes people talking about the fact that Miko was not there while the Canes had a very impressive win at home this past Saturday. So, in your opinion, what do you think flipped for the Canes this past Saturday?
Seth Jarvis flipped. Jarvis took over the game in the second period.
Love Jarvis.
Absolutely took over the game in the second period. Sebastian Aho was good. That line was good with Jackson Blake. Yeah, they just took the game over.
Yeah.
Jarvis did. And then things started flowing and the puck went in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all it was.
Yeah. Chatfield kind of pointed with his
gosh.
toe and
That was,
it ended up well. It was so pretty.
Jalen played a great game, too.
Yes.
But, that had nothing to do with not having Miko. Please, people.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be better. We have to be better.
Exactly. Well, on to the football. So, obviously, the Eagles beat the Chiefs yesterday. Do you see, this is just a quick guess for next year, do you see the Eagles coming back and potentially winning another Super Bowl?
I mean, they have a great roster, but every year is different. Will Barkley have the same type of year? Will he get hurt again? Because he's been hurt before in his career.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it would be easy to say yes, but ultimately, I will say no.
Yeah.
I think the winner will come from Allen or Jackson next year.
Yeah, I would like that. Either one. So, do you think there's a lot of talk after seeing Patrick Mahomes yesterday in that game? Not his greatest of games.
He was terrible.
Yes. Do you think this changes people's opinions of Mahomes being the GOAT or a GOAT after this performance?
This is going to sound crazy. Nothing's changed. He is still trending towards that. But he's not there. But we're really talking about accomplishments. We're not talking about in terms of him as a player. We're talking about what he accomplished. And we have to kind of, when we come back, I'll actually differentiate performance from production.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Time to get ready for golf season, and Global Golf is ready for you. Global Golf is home to Carolina's largest selection of pre-owned golf clubs and can help every part of your game, from lessons, club fittings, and repairs. Don't forget, we take trade-ins. Bring in your current clubs and get store credit towards your new clubs. You're invited to Global Golf, open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh.
Get ready. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale is coming to the State Fairgrounds February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building. It'll be filled to the max with boats ready for immediate delivery featuring Suzuki outboards. Shop center console, runabouts, deck boats, bass boats, pontoons, aluminum boats, and more, all under one roof. Boat Show only savings, discounts up to $12,000, factory rebates, and special financing on site. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale, February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building on the State Fairgrounds, featuring Suzuki outboards, free admission and parking.
It's time for the Coastal Scholar Athlete of the Month.
Hello, Creighton Blackwell here from Coastal Credit Union and 99.9 The Fan. Tonight we are at Green Level High School, and we're here to celebrate the newest Scholar Athlete of the Month, Lexi Taylor.
My family is definitely like my biggest support through everything. My sister and my parents both support me through my hardest days and my best days, and they're always there to support me.
Lexi's a phenomenal athlete, comfortable with whatever you ask her to do. She's strong, she's poised, she doesn't get flustered easily.
And she's just like grown up so much as like a captain and a teammate, and she's been a captain now for 2 years, and I really just think she's been like such a great help to our team.
Well, I've been cheering with her since 7th grade, and we're seniors now, so I've kind of like watched Lexi like grow up, I feel like, and she's like done the same with me. So I've like seen her like step into a leadership role, and I feel like she's just always super encouraging and keeps a positive attitude.
It means a lot to me to just be able to be recognized in such like a wide area with so many amazing athletes. So I just feel great to like feel like someone's like seeing all the hard work that I've been putting into my sport and my academics. So I'm very grateful for it.
Congratulations, Lexi.
For over 20 years, 99.9 The Fan and Coastal Credit Union have been recognizing scholar athletes at Triangle area schools. If you'd like to nominate a high school athlete, text AWARD to 919-860-5326. That's AWARD to 919-860-5326.
The next disaster is coming. Make a plan. Keep extra medication on hand. Make copies of important documents. Stay informed and be ready. Learn more at americares.org/sendusin.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
This is the Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Shotgun snap to Hurts, left tackle block, line drive throw, caught on the 5. A.J. Brown hits the pylon far side. Touchdown, Philadelphia. They are destroying the Chiefs. A 12-yard touchdown run. They cash in on the Mahomes interception. They've done it twice. Now 23-0 Eagles before halftime as they had steamrolled the defending champions in the first half.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Kevin Harlan. They are destroying the Chiefs, which...
Find the lie.
Yep, exactly. It was a dismantling. We're going to talk about a couple of things regarding the game and regarding the big picture in just a second. We'll talk about Jalen Hurts. We'll talk about Patrick Mahomes. We'll talk about Nick Sirianni. Because I think all of those things have been handled very poorly by our national media. We'll get to those in a second. I want to get to the difference between performance and production. When we talk about Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time, and let me first remind you that we are available on YouTube every day. YouTube.com/Adam Gold Show /999 The Fan. I am Adam Gold, and that is Victoria, and I thank you very much for spending some time with us. If you're not aware, Eagles blew out the Chiefs. We talked about the Duke-Carolina game, 87-70, I think was the final, being super misleading. Yeah, 40-22 doesn't do it justice.
Very misleading.
I was not sure the Chiefs were ever going to score.
I know. I did have to look up, has there ever been a scoreless where someone shut out?
No, there has not been. We have had one-sided games, but most of our one-sided games were our offense is dominating you. That was not the case for the Eagles. Their offense did not dominate this game. Their defense completely suffocated the Chiefs. But we'll get to that in a second. But when we talk about Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time, at least I'm hoping, we are simply talking about the cumulative number of Super Bowls that he's won, the cumulative number of Super Bowls he has appeared in. You know, he's lost more Super Bowls than any other quarterback, too, or the same amount as Jim Kelly lost 4, right? Maybe Fran Tarkington might have lost 4, too. So it's not like he didn't win all the Super Bowls that he was in. He won 7. Nobody's won more. But I'm hoping that we're not talking about, in terms of the art of playing the position, Tom Brady's not the best quarterback we've ever seen. He was in the perfect situation with the best coach, a great defense, and a team that knew how to win.
Yeah.
But he was not the best quarterback. Heck, when we add it all up, I'm not even sure he's a top 5 quarterback in terms of how he played. He won, and that's different. We can go across any other sport. We could talk about Jack Nicklaus, the greatest golfer of all time, because 18 majors. Jack Nicklaus wasn't anywhere close to as good. He was great as Tiger Woods. In terms of his performance, Tiger is by miles the greatest player we have ever seen. There's almost no second place to Woods in terms of his performance. Nicklaus won more majors. Brady won the most Super Bowls, therefore he's the GOAT. I don't think he was a better quarterback than Dan Marino, who won none. Eli Manning, who did not get into the Hall of Fame, but will because he's won 2 Super Bowls. Of course, that's dumb, but that's what's going to happen. And I get it, his last name is Manning. Eli Manning was a very good quarterback who was on 2 great teams that won 2 Super Bowls. Go count up how many playoff games Eli Manning won in years where they didn't win the Super Bowl. I think the number is 0. Wait a second. I thought he was a Hall of Fame quarterback. Phillip Rivers is a better quarterback than Eli Manning. He won no Super Bowls. It's all right. These are all great quarterbacks. Nobody's saying Tom Brady was a piker. Just saying that we skew these conversations based on accomplishments more than anything else. What did Nick Sirianni say after the game? It's the greatest team game that there is. Almost every sport will say the same thing. I would say the 2 greatest team games are football and hockey.
For sure.
I think baseball, while an individual player, it's hard for an individual player to dominate it except for a pitcher. It's still just individual acts, right? Basketball, one player can completely dominate a game. We saw that with Michael Jordan. We've seen it with other players too, but Jordan's the best example of it. So, all these debates about GOATs, we shouldn't have been having them with Patrick Mahomes. Because he's only won 3 Super Bowls. Because we associate the GOAT with Brady because he's won 7. So, let's wait until we get, at least we've covered one hand or about to cover a hand before we do that. Now, at the same time, we're screwing up the Jalen Hurts conversation, and that's where I want to start. This is our second run through the news of the day. I've always thought the Jalen Hurts narrative was crazy. He's the exact same quarterback that he was like 2 weeks ago as he is now. I'm watching ESPN, and regardless of who said it, the comment was made that Jalen Hurts is starting a Hall of Fame career. We got to control ourselves the day after a Super Bowl. He was wonderful. He played a great game, a deserved Super Bowl MVP award. But, man, we got to wait.
Yeah. That defense really helped him.
The defense was great, but he was great, and he is an excellent quarterback. But there's a long way to go between being an excellent quarterback and going to the Hall of Fame. Look, he's not Mahomes, he's not Allen, he's not Jackson, he's not Burrow. And you know me, I've said this before, I'm not sure Burrow is in that category yet. Right. I think Burrow is an incredible passer. I'm not sure. I want to see Burrow elevate a team that doesn't have great players around him. All 3 of those other quarterbacks have elevated a team without great pieces around him. Maybe they had one great piece, like Mahomes had Kelsey last year and not a whole lot else around him. They won a Super Bowl. Allen this year, they had good pieces, but not great pieces. Lamar Jackson has elevated teams without great pieces around him. So I want to see Burrow do that before I even put him in that category. But I don't think Jalen Hurts is the quarterback who will elevate everybody else around him. But I do think that he's got incredible qualities. And I said this to Will, who joined us last hour. I think he is a significantly better version of Dak Prescott. Prescott is a good quarterback. Now, Prescott's had problems when the lights are their brightest, and I don't think Hurts has had those problems, which speaks to a different level of character, and I'm not talking about that in a good person, bad person sense. Hurts has the ability to be calm under pressure. I don't think Prescott has that. Keep this in mind. Jalen Hurts, did he not win a national championship at Alabama, was then booted. He's basically displaced for Tua. Went to Oklahoma and was great. Right? Went to Oklahoma and a passing offense was great. Also ran it beautifully. Anyway, but he is essentially the same guy, a great leader, a winner, a guy who is more than capable of beating you with his arm, and he proved all of it. We got to stop with the Hall of Fame talk. Here's Hurts on winning after losing a couple of years ago.
Everything comes with it, and I've always found a thrill in any doubt and any questioning and any opinions. It's always been something that I've embraced, and I don't want it to change now just because of the results. So just running your race and playing with purpose. This is what I'm called to do in this season of my life, and I'm going to give it all I have, try my best to leave no stone unturned.
All right, now, what have these last 2 years been like for Jalen?
There's an eagerness to want to do it the right way and become champions, and that's every year. Yeah. But it's been a process to get to that point, that's coming from year one, not playing, and sitting behind Carson Wentz, and then coming into the next year and going to the playoffs, first time with Coach Sirianni. It's like, okay, let's go get AJ. I got a guy in Tennessee that's ready. Let's go get AJ. We get so close, and we allow it to fuel us to more to come. And start off great last year, kind of hit some bumps in the road and slow down a bit, but no panic within. Just stand in Durham, keep going, and we go get this guy and the cherry on top.
Yeah, A.J. Brown was brought in last year. Saquon Barkley this year. Beefed up on both lines after losing Jason Kelsey and Fletcher Cox. They're just incredible football team. The Nick Sirianni narrative was also crazy. How many times did I say it this year, Victoria? Are we really discussing whether or not Sirianni is the weak link?
Yeah, in a hot seat.
So he goes to a Super Bowl 2 years ago. They lose.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was a tough year, granted. This year, while they were in the middle of winning 11 in a row.
Yes.
Granted, they didn't beat a lot of great teams in that run, but they were annihilating teams. So then we're still talking about Sirianni as the weak spot. My view of Sirianni is that sometimes he's a jerk.
Right.
Right? Sometimes he's just a little bit too excitable.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw some of that last night, too.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, that's what my only criticism of Sirianni would be. Dial it back a little bit, son.
Reel it in.
Son. Right? Just chill out.
Yeah.
There's a long game to go. But that's who he is as a person. So there will be times where he'll get out over his skis and he'll fall. But he's a really good coach. He's just kind of goofy. To me, he is very, he's very Philly.
Yeah, he's an acquired taste.
He's very Philly. He's from apparently just south of Buffalo. But I don't know. There's not an equalness about that. But he seems very Philly to me. He's
he fits
perfect.
in well there.
Perfect for the Eagles. So, I mean, look, I know what's his name. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl and then was fired a few years later. That could happen to Nick Sirianni too. I don't think it will. I think Sirianni will. I mean, we'll see. Maybe when they don't have great players, because there will come a time where Philadelphia won't, because the salary cap and whatnot will force Philadelphia to, because there's going to be a lot of players who are going to need to get paid, and then it's going to be hard for them to keep everybody. And when they don't have everybody, we'll see how good a coach Nick Sirianni is. We'll find out. Anyway, we've also decided that the Chiefs' run is over, and I don't get people for that. I want to move on to a couple of other things. I just don't understand why we have decided now that, the Chiefs' run's over. The era is over. Okay. They still have Mahomes.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as people are still in place. We don't know about Travis Kelce retiring yet.
We don't know. And he certainly looked like, first of all, new hairdo.
I know, he's letting it grow out.
Yeah, he was, I don't think he was good or bad last night, because I don't believe that Mahomes was any good, so it's hard to tell. Yeah. The only receiver that I thought was, DeAndre Hopkins needs to catch that pass. Mm-hmm. Of course, if you looked at it, he tripped himself. It's an easy catch if he doesn't stumble. I think he just caught his toe on the turf.
Yeah.
It didn't cause that much of a problem, but it caused enough of a stumble that he lost focus on the pass. Anyway, and we'll talk about the halftime show a little bit later on. Let me just get to some basketball, because Brian Geisinger is going to join us in about 5 minutes. Duke had a nice lead in Clemson down at Little John. The Tigers went on, I think, a 12-0 run and turned a 6-point deficit into a 6-point lead. Duke came back, and then they traded the lead back and forth the last 3 or so minutes. It was a fun game to watch. Duke had the ball, down 1, with Cooper Flagg having it in his hands. It looked to me like he was driving to the hoop, probably score. If not, go to the free throw line. And he slipped. Slipped on a wet spot, and boom, traveling, and that was it. Duke couldn't recover after that. They lose a game. They've lost 3 times this year. They have had the ball. None of them were at home. One was, where was it, at Kansas? I think it was at Kansas where they lost. Kentucky on a neutral floor, and at Clemson. And they had the ball with a chance to take the lead or tie at the very least in the last 30 seconds, and they're 0 for 3 in those situations. I like my chances. I like Duke's chances to do that again. Not to do that again, but to in that position, I like Duke's chances to win the game the next time. But they lost. They didn't defend well. That's why they lost. Carolina won a rock fight over Pitt. First step in them getting back inside the bubble. And when UNC wins tonight at Clemson, they will be on the correct side of the bubble. And as long as they don't screw it up with bad losses, I think they'll stay on the correct side of the bubble. And man, NC State need to win a game. It's now what, 9 in a row? They're 2-10. I think they've lost 9 in a row.
That's not good at all.
It's quite ugly, and we'll talk about, with Brian Geisinger, we'll talk about the week ahead for the Wolfpack and the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils, and Brian Geisinger will join us next.
Making more sports sense than social media trolls. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen for the Did He Just Do That?
Johnson trying to step back for a 3. Bring it up. Left side. Boy, that was cold-blooded.
The deep looks from downtown.
Damask from the right block. Gives to Hawkins. Straight on. Triple. Good. They left him open, and he makes him pay.
The Get That Out of Here's.
Bonner to the basket. Rejected by Renew, who saw that one coming.
Your exclusive home for the Final Four. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Tim Donnelly here for Zero Res. Now, February is the month of love, and we're all guilty of it, right? We wait till something like February happens to love those that maybe we've been neglecting or let them know how much we care. Have you been doing that to your rugs, your floors, piling up with dirt and grime and dander? Well, Zero Res wants to love your rug. Love your rug special right now. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at $109 and $100 off air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResRaleigh.com or call 919-995-0000.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling. We do the job right every time.
Mitchell Heating and Cooling is celebrating 51 years of trusted service. And to celebrate, get a furnace tune-up for just $51. That's peace of mind heating for only $51. Visit MitchellHVAC.com. Mitchell Heating and Cooling. Quality products and services on time from a family you trust. It's hard to stop a train.
This Valentine's Day, if you really want to impress me, how about a romantic meal at home from the Butcher's Market? So we each get a juicy filet mignon, lobster tails, twice-baked potatoes, and 4 long-stem chocolate-covered strawberries. Pretty romantic.
Right. And the folks over at the Butcher's Market have made it so easy for guys like us. I just order online, and it'll be ready for pickup when I walk in the door.
So what are you waiting for? Visit thebutchersmarket.com now. Trust me, you'll be glad you did.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now? Or even a couple $100,000. If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash. You can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, The average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 919-381-1760. Get the money you need for anything. 919-381-1760, LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Paid for by Hims & Hers Health. Hims & Hers weight loss is not available everywhere. Compounded products are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. Restrictions at 4hers.com apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded.
With Hers, you can access doctor-trusted weight loss plans, like compounded GLP-1 weekly injections with the same active ingredient as Ozempic and Wegovy. Based on pricing through Hers, save up to 91% per month with compounded semaglutide, the same active ingredient as the name brand drug. Get started at 4hers.com/start today. That's 4hers.com/start.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. Speaking of goats, I brought up his name earlier. Tiger Woods. Supposed to come back and play this week at his tournament, which has been moved to San Diego from Los Angeles because of the impact of the wildfires. Riviera Country Club could not host it. It is now at Torrey Pines, which has basically been his own personal playground for his career. It hosts another PGA Tour event, just hosted one about 3 weeks ago. He has withdrawn from the event. His mom passed away about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. No, less. About a week ago, his mom passed away. I don't know if he's physically ready or not, but he's not mentally ready. So he is not going to play this week in the Genesis. It's called the Genesis Invitational. It's an elevated event, so he is not going to play. All right, let's bring in, speaking of goats, the basketball brain of this show. He is Brian Geisinger, split the action on Substack, Pack Pride, 24/7 Sports. He's everywhere, and he joins us every Monday to talk college hoops mostly. So let's talk a little college hoops, sir. Let's start with the fact that Duke has taken a loss in league play. John Shire talked about the fact that they didn't defend well. Does it come down to basically that at Clemson?
Yeah, I think you could boil it down to just that. I mean, it's also like if Cooper doesn't slip on the on the next play, but certainly like everyone's talking about the play where Cooper fell, the last 2 days, but in the possession before that, Chase Hunter gets Cooper Flag on a switch and drives by him and scores, Right. So I do think, like for Duke this season, the defense has been the sort of fail-safe, the thing that you could fall back on. But Clemson's a really good team. I mean, it's a hostile environment, and you've got a team in Clemson, one of the, a team that can kind of match Duke in terms of size and kind of have like a strength advantage, on the inside with two, older guys with Locken and Shefflin against Flag and Malwatch and Brown, but also one of the oldest teams in the country, in Clemson. I mean, experience across the board. And I would tend to agree with John Shire on that. Like, it is a lot of it's about defense. Because even if you look at the offense, like a lot of guys have like individual good games. Proctor, Knipple. I actually would have liked to have seen a little bit more of Kahn down the stretch, to be honest with you, like operating on the ball, just because it was a lot of Cooper, and he had played big minutes and had already used a lot of possessions, and Clemson's keying on him. So maybe you would have liked to have seen like a little bit more Kahn, but But yeah, ultimately, I don't even think that loss is like the end of the world for Duke,
No.
because then they don't have to continue with the undefeated in conference play talking point, and if you're looking for a motivational tactic type deal, later in the season with them, this is for lack of a better term, like a wake up call. You know what I mean? And they may see Clemson again, a few weeks from now at the ACC tournament too.
Brian Geisinger is joining us here at bgeis_bird on Twitter. But I also follow him on Blue Sky at Brian Geisinger. All right, here's the thing about the Blue Devils, and I don't want to belabor this point because I want to move on to the other two teams. In the two games before the Carolina game, in my opinion, they were poor, not poor defensively, but they were nothing better than okay defensively. I thought they allowed NC State to get to a lot of spots on the floor that they normally wouldn't allow. And guys like Trey Parker had big games. And he was not the only one. Dontrez Styles had a big game. And by the way, both of those guys played very well at Stanford in a very, very close loss. But I thought Duke had some trouble stopping the ball. And the game at Wake was a similar game for me, that it was one in which Duke had some trouble stopping the ball at times. And I thought that was the same thing. And maybe that's their Achilles heel at times, is that you will be able to beat them off the dribble and force their defense to react, which creates opportunities. All you got to do then is knock down the shots. But I thought their defense in those two games wasn't great. That's why I thought I gave North Carolina a chance to make that a game, until we realized that Duke wasn't going to do that against UNC. So that's where I think that John Shire is maybe even more right, in that their offense is fine and it can be great, but it's really all about them getting stops, and they just couldn't get enough of them.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out those two games you had mentioned before UNC. No Malik Brown, right? Who returns to that UNC game, and he really helps out with their defensive versatility. He is also a guy that helps keep the ball in front because he can switch. So, but it's also worth mentioning, the State, Wake, and now Clemson games are all games that we saw Duke, at least for a few possessions, go to its 2-3 zone, right? In part because of sort of like what you're highlighting. I kind of wish my thing too would have been, earlier on in the game, with Kaman Malawachin at 5, like I understand why Duke decides to hedge ball screens and have him, hard hedge or play up or around the level, but I kind of like him more when he's sitting back in the paint, and then they're keeping the ball in front that way too. And I kind of thought I thought in the second half their defense actually had some good stretches when they went to Malawachin drop coverage, or were using Brown in the switch. But, of course, Clemson is a tough team to switch against because, one, they've got a guard in Chase Hunter that can beat, your 4s and 5s off the dribble, but they've also got two big guys with Shefflin and Locken that can also score in the paint and handle and are, like, good post-to-post passers. So it was a tough matchup, I would say, for Duke, personnel-wise, along with just the fact that, as great as this Duke team is, there certainly are, they're not impervious, and there are spots to pick at them. Right. But I would say ultimately Brown as a switch defender is supposed to be the cure-all for keeping the ball in front and out of the paint.
All right, let's get to NC State real quick. So, again, more impressed with them at Stanford, who I think is a better team than Cal.
Definitely.
The Trey Parker shot, especially the way they rallied late. The Trey Parker shot, it's halfway down, and it comes out. And while this is not why they lost, he was definitely fouled after the shot, wasn't he?
Yeah, it seemed like it. It's tough. I
don't understand.
In a season of tough losses, this one felt like the closest, They 1-point game, and who knows if Ismael Diop makes a couple of free throws down the stretch, that moves it. But for NC State to go on the road, I know Jalen Blakes wasn't playing for Stanford, and that takes that they're missing their best on-ball creator and the guy that really unlocks their pick-and-pop game with Maxime Reynaud. But for State to go on the road, no Brandon Huntley-Hatfield, Ben Middlebrooks plays 13 minutes, right? Fouls out. So they're playing with their third-string center, and to almost pull it off, it was tough, man. I thought they really battled. Styles had an amazing game. I thought Marcus Hill, who's been pretty steady for them for most of the season, he was great. Trey Parker, breakout game. I mean, he's played well the last few weeks, but this felt like obviously he hit some crazy shots, but I thought Trey's playmaking and decision-making in the pick and roll against Stanford's drop coverage, or when they were playing that matchup zone at times, I thought Trey did a really nice job. That to me was interesting because with his speed and athletic pop and the shot making is legit too, State really might have something with him, not just this season, but potentially into next year. So frustrating loss. And I got to say, like the Louisville Cardinals in that 3-point, shooting, arsenal is not exactly a welcome home present after a long, challenging, frustrating West Coast swing.
Yeah, 100%. Louisville, though, has shown some warts lately.
Definitely.
The loss at Georgia Tech notwithstanding, but they have, that's part of it. So sorry, I don't know why I said notwithstanding, but I mean that game is an example of what what Louisville can do or cannot do. But I want to talk. Sorry, it's weird. I want to real quick get into this is where I was after the Duke game, and I was in the same place after the win over Notre Dame, and I look at this team and I think, man, they could be good. I mean, not good at near the top of the league. But considering when you go from like the 6th team down, like there's no reason why they're not as good or better than any of those teams based on some of their personnel. So if we could get Styles, Hill, Parker, Jaden Taylor, Dennis Parker Jr., who had a good first half, if you could get some of these other guys, if you get all these guys playing consistently well at the same time, like they have the opportunity. I think there are the pieces there to not be 2-10 and to make the ACC tournament, which is why this is such a big week. I'm not going to rule out Louisville. I'm not ruling out that they can't win that game, but they've got to win the next one if they don't win this one. Yeah.
No, I mean, Gold, I think we've talked about it this season. Like, State's issue, like everyone in their rotation's good, right? Like it's nothing but ACC rotation players. I don't think there's like necessarily like an overall like bad position. I think they're pretty strong in a few different spots. I will say, like, if they had this version of Trey Parker all season,
right,
we'd also be talking a different tune because like he's what they need more of. This sort of like scoring, playmaking pop on the basketball and just like what that does for their half-court offense. I'm a big Michael O'Connell fan, believer, liked him at Stanford,
right?
True believer. And he hit the shot and he was, a superhero for them down the stretch during the run last year. But he's having a tough season, and that was a tough game, at Stanford over the weekend. And so just with your starting point guard and your starting center in Middlebrooks to get, that little, that's tough. They need more scoring. Pop Styles has been consistent. Hill has been too. But a guy like Parker who can run pick and roll and shoot off the dribble from multiple levels of the court, that is something that they've been starved for all season. So, we'll see how he plays down the stretch. We'll see where the shot making, like how and, when that stabilizes, we'll see what that looks like because he's hit some tough shots, maybe, maybe ones that are a little above his pay grade, but we'll see. But yeah, this is a huge week. And, against Louisville, they're just, you're talk about two teams that are at opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of 3-point volume. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so State is really going to have to like take care of the ball, get on the glass. I mean, they've just got, and then they've got to do everything they can to contain the Chucky Hepburn, Rain Smith, James Scott trio, because Smith is the best shooter in the league this season, and Hepburn and Scott. I mean, if that's not the best pick and roll combo, it's a top 3 or 4 one in the league. Hepburn's been pretty outstanding this season, so it's a lot to deal with Pat Kelsey's club.
No question about it. All right, to North Carolina. who I called the win over Pitt kind of a rock fight, especially late.
Yes.
And look, North Carolina's going to have to grind. At least they got to win. It wasn't a quad 1 win; it was a quad 2 win. But they can get a quad 1 win tonight. Is the matchup conducive for them to get that?
I do worry a little bit about it with Clemson because you've got a gap defense with the Tigers, and that is a team that can give UNC and its guards some issues. I think you even saw that in the Pitt game where Pitt starts out switching like they did, a week or so ago against UNC, and the Tar Heels were doing pretty well against that. Davis was able to attack and get downhill, and then when Jeff Capel says, all right, enough of this, let's change up the scheme, they start, hedging and blitzing and showing on ball screens and getting in gaps, and all of a sudden that's where the rock fight came. UNC's offense kind of went into the toilet there for a little bit. But they still did enough to pull it out. And as I've always said with UNC since November this season, like if you have that kind of shot making, I know Ian Jackson's really struggling right now.
Yeah.
But if you get him going again, now that Davis is, looks like himself, really during ACC
a lot
play. Closer
to it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like he's in kind of a different role this season too, just because they're running. Elliot Cadeau is initiating so much offense for them. So, but I think Clemson's a tough matchup for them in part to Clemson's size, man. Their size inside and the sort of like their gap discipline defensively. It's a tough matchup for UNC, but I don't know, RJ Davis plus the future NBA talent UNC has on this roster. It's not like they can't do it, but it's going to be a tough one, and they're going to need a big performance here on a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, and they need. I think Drake Powell's showing a lot of signs of
awesome.
Of really taking another step, and if you get Ian Jackson, kind of coming back, and you get Powell continuing to do what he's doing. And R.J. Davis looks a lot closer to the R.J. Davis than I don't know. I think it's a difficult turnaround. I think it's a more difficult turnaround for Clemson than it is for Carolina, even though Clemson is at home. Because, man, coming off the emotions of beating Duke, good luck.
Hangover. Yeah. I mean, it's real. Like, we've seen it.
Yep.
We've definitely seen it before. So it will be fascinating, and it does feel like the home crowd has to play sort of like a bit of a role tonight too. But this Clemson team is legit. It really is.
I agree.
I give a lot of credit to Brad Brunell, who I think has really done a nice job putting together offenses the last few seasons. This is one of the most no nonsense teams you'll find. Like no wasted motion. Everything that they do makes sense and connects together. And I mean, they've got great individual talents on this team too, but it's just a really impressive 2A team that does a lot of stuff well. And so you got to be on your game to beat them.
All right. I'm predicting a North Carolina win. I'm giving away one of my bets, and we place our bets, but I am predicting a North Carolina upset win on the road. And when they win this game tonight, they will be on the correct side of the bubble, and they will stay there unless they screw it up.
Yeah.
And I think they could screw it up because I think we know that there's a range for their performances. Brian Geisinger, 24/7 Sports, split the action on Substack. You should check it out. Our basketball brain, the basketball brain of this program. All right, man. Talk to you next week. Appreciate it.
Yeah, take care. Please subscribe, everyone.
Yes.
See you guys soon.
Please subscribe. Split the action.
Yeah.
We should do that.
It.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
All right. When we come back, we will stretch. Maybe we'll talk about the halftime show, and we will place bets next.
From the heels,
touchdown Carolina,
to the canes,
she scores!
He covers it all. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Hey, it's Adam Gold for my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just beginning on FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book, because FanDuel's your home for live NBA betting. So even if you miss the start of the game, you're not out of luck. However you want to play, now is the perfect time to join. New customers get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com/AGS. FanDuel.com/AGS for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel, make every moment more. 21 and over and present in North Carolina. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonuses issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit, investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
I choose to stay up to date on my vaccines to protect what matters most, my community.
Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you.
So make sure you have protection against new virus strains that continue to spread this fall and winter.
Don't wait. Get up to date.
Because my health is our health.
Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Don't wait. Get your updated shots today.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? You know, when someone smiles at you, and right away you feel better. So why not pass on that smile to the next person? And then the next person passes it on to another. Winning friends one smile at a time. It's easy to do. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
I'm Faith. I work as an American Sign Language interpreter, and I just graduated from my bachelor's program. I texted 988 because at the moment where I needed help, I realized that I didn't have access to English at the moment. Sometimes speaking gets hard for me, and they just helped me calm down, and then I was able to find a friend. It's free, and you can get in touch with people who are trained to help through all sorts of crises.
Call, text, or chat 988-24-7.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Pivotal Ventures.
This is Adam Gold.
Did you see what Duke is paying the quarterback that they pulled out of the portal from Tulane?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. 2-year deal, $4 million per.
Oh, wow.
Per. So.
Do they want a quarterback named Victoria?
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I'm Adam Gold, Victoria on the ones and twos. We're going to place bets in just a few minutes. We'll stretch. We've already given away one of them. I want to read a question, or at least a comment, on something I said from my Twitter timeline. Always, you can contribute to this program. You can tweet to me at A Gold Fan. You could also blue sky to me at Adam Gold on Blue Sky. So if something I say irks you, triggers some sort of other response, irk or otherwise, feel free. You can always contribute there. Look, I have people who have my phone number. Just text me. Gregory on Twitter, because I was talking about how this doesn't elevate, it doesn't make Jalen Hurts better than he was. It doesn't. He won a Super Bowl because his comment was if you don't elevate a quarterback for winning the Super Bowl, then why do we play the games? Look, if he wins multiple Super Bowls, then yeah, we'll elevate him. And if he is the reason they win multiple Super Bowls, then we'll obviously treat that accordingly. But using this game necessarily to change the opinions of who quarterbacks are. Jim Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls. In some ways, that should make him a Hall of Famer, right? That's what we use when we say Eli Manning won 2 Super Bowls. Therefore, he's a Hall of Famer. Well, what about Jim Plunkett, who won 2 Super Bowls? It didn't elevate Brad Johnson, who won the Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Capable quarterback. But he wasn't anything more than that. Joe Flacco got elevated into elite status, and then what happened? Like, oh, that's right, he's just Joe Flacco, who had one really good playoff run. So you can get into trouble by really changing who a guy is. Jalen Hurts was a really good quarterback before yesterday. That doesn't change. It doesn't change. He doesn't get better, and he doesn't get. And if he had lost the game, he doesn't get worse. He's a very good quarterback, and I think we should. Maybe we screwed it up. The people who didn't think he was, maybe they screwed it up before. All right, let's stretch.
Okay, so this one is all Super Bowl related.
Okay.
So, first of all, there's an annual survey that happens every year that has now estimated around 22.6 million Americans plan to miss work today.
22.6 million?
Yes, planned, which breaks the previous record last year of 18.8 million.
I mean, if you have PTO, you can take it.
Might as well, yeah. Use it accordingly.
At some point, by the way, the Super Bowl will be played the Sunday of President's Weekend. I promise you.
Yes.
Or what's coming up? Martin Luther King weekend is coming up? I think Martin Luther King was last month.
That happened in January.
Yeah, President's Weekend is next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty soon we'll be playing the Super Bowl the Sunday of that, and everybody will have the day off.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the survey also asked a lot of people, they didn't ask me, but I would have been the 55% that said yes, that should be a national holiday after the Super Bowl. But then it later did say that the schedule is likely to change with 18 games for maybe the 27-28 season, so we may not have to worry about it then. Yeah. Or for people who get the President's Day off.
Promise.
So, yeah,
Promise.
If you're one of those that you get that, then, yeah, maybe you don't have to worry about that, in just a couple of years. So we'll see how that goes. Now, there were some interesting things about the game yesterday. So a quick recap for people in case you did not get to watch the game. Maybe there was a crowd and you didn't get to see all the stuff. I noticed this, and I almost tweeted this out. Yesterday's Gatorade shower might have been the earliest, Gatorade shower ever. I tried to Google it and look it up, and I don't think there's any record of it, but there was 2 minutes and 52 seconds left in the game.
Well before the 2-minute warning.
Yeah,
awesome.
And my immediate thought was that has got to be the earliest Gatorade bath ever, but I don't know. I tried to look that up. Now, if you did have a prop bet, which you can't have those in North Carolina apparently, the Gatorade was yellow. Or green, but it looked yellow to me. Some people were like, oh, it's green. So there was that. Jalen Hurts was the MVP. Also, Mahomes, he actually ended up with more passing yards. He had 257. He
did. I was this close to picking Jalen Hurts for more passing yards than Patrick Mahomes. This close, because it was a lot of, it was like plus It was like plus 3 something, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, man, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I know.
Glad I didn't do it.
Nope, it did not work out very well. And also, there were some interesting things. So, Cooper DeJean yesterday was the guy who got the pick 6.
Yep.
It also happened to be his birthday, his 22nd birthday. So that's never happened. That was his first career interception. So that, you know, a sweet little birthday present. But also, I didn't realize this. Yesterday was Saquon Barkley's birthday.
I didn't realize it was his birthday, too.
No, he turned 28 yesterday.
Wow.
So would have been great if he would have scored a touchdown for my parlay. But he did not. He did not have a birthday touchdown. He did get a trophy though. So there's that.
He did.
And there were some videos or pictures, I should say, going around of like some food that was at the stadium. Apparently, concession prices for this game were crazy because they had a $59 cocktail and a $100 caprese crab salad. So
$100?
Yeah, what are we doing? Yeah, so I guess people wanted to ball out there. And then also, if you had any
$100?
It's crazy. I don't understand.
Caprese salad's good. You throw crab on it too. That's even better.
Yeah, it's even better.
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
I don't know if it's worth that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's worth it either. But maybe you could afford it with some good bets.
Place your bets. Place your bets. Here we are. I bet you slice into the woods $100.
Gambling is illegal at Bushwood, sir, and I never slide.
Okay, you can owe me. I owe you one.
So real quick recap, I placed 4 wagers on the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I had the Eagles in the over. Eagles outright wasn't plus points. The Eagles in the over. That ended up being plus 265. We connected on that. Jalen Hurts, I did to be the MVP. Got that. I had A.J. Brown first touchdown. That didn't work. And I had Justin Watson, the tight end wide receiver for the Chiefs, with an anytime touchdown. He caught a 2-point conversion, not a touchdown. So 2 for 4. It was profitable.
Oh, there you go. See?
You go.
Look at it. It worked out. Well, there's not much going on, but there is the 4 nations. So this one is all going to be for the game that's on Wednesday, which is Canada versus Sweden. So first bet that I'll make with this is an anytime goal scorer. Why not Nathan McKinnon? He's plus 180, and he's real good at scoring goals. So give me him.
All right, I'm not doing I will do big picture 4 nations, but we're going to start with the Tar Heels. It's only plus 170 now on FanDuel. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Give me the Tar Heels.
Oh, nice.
The hangover after beating Duke is real. Clemson shouldn't lose to UNC, but they will.
Yeah, I like it. Well, next up, sticking with that same Canada versus Sweden game, will there be a goal in the first 5 minutes of the first period? Yeah, sure, why not? Plus 180. Let's go. I hope it's high scoring. That's always fun.
Excellent. All right. Your winner at the 4 Nations face-off will be at plus 950. Give me the Finns.
Ah, yes.
Give me the Finns at plus 950. Aho and Rantanen practice together on a second line with Arturi Lehkonen from Colorado. So there's a little familiarity for Rantanen there as well. And, of course, Sebastian Aho. And he told me on Saturday that he and Mikko were roommates in the World Championships.
Well, fun.
So they obviously have a very good working relationship. So
yeah.
I'm going with Finland to win at plus 950.
Nice. And between this game, the Canada and Sweden, why not? Give me Canada because our Jarvy's on it. So Canada to win, and I'll take the over 5.5. That's plus 140.
All right. I don't know how far down I have to go to find it, but I am scrolling as we speak. I am going to MVP of the 4 Nations tournament. Just in case, on the off chance that I'm wrong about Finland, give me Seth Jarvis as your MVP at plus 11,000. Yes.
Wow.
And speaking of Seth Jarvis, wait till you hear what Brad Marchand had to say about him. Next.
questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Get ready. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale is coming to the State Fairgrounds February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building. It'll be filled to the max with boats ready for immediate delivery featuring Suzuki outboards. Shop center console, runabouts, deck boats, bass boats, pontoons, aluminum boats, and more, all under one roof. Boat Show only savings, discounts up to $12,000, factory rebates, and special financing on site. The Chatley Boat Show and Sale, February 14th through the 16th at the Carr Scott Building on the State Fairgrounds, featuring Suzuki outboards, free admission and parking.
This just in, hot off the bench press. Planet Fitness has added new strength equipment. Save when you join today, and you can be one of the first to try it out. We're raising the bar with new benches, and our new hack squat will have you actually looking forward to leg day. Plus, we're still repping all of the best-in-class equipment we've always had. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save. Just $1 down, $15 a month.
Offer ends February 13th. Join today for $1 down, $15 a month.
See Home Club for details.
Time to get ready for golf season, and Global Golf is ready for you. Global Golf is home to Carolina's largest selection of pre-owned golf clubs and can help every part of your game, from lessons, club fittings, and repairs. Don't forget, we take trade-ins. Bring in your current clubs and get store credit towards your new clubs. You're invited to Global Golf, open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 7320 ACC Boulevard, North Raleigh.
This Valentine's Day, if you really want to impress me, how about a romantic meal at home from the Butcher's Market? We each get a juicy filet mignon, lobster tails, twice-baked potatoes, and 4 long-stem chocolate-covered strawberries. Pretty romantic.
Right. And the folks over at the Butcher's Market have made it so easy for guys like us. I just order online, and it'll be ready for pickup when I walk in the door.
So what are you waiting for? Visit thebutchersmarket.com now. Trust me, you'll be glad you did.
Adam Gold in studio with my man Patrick Day from the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. All right, everything for the exterior of your home. Do you have a favorite?
I have a favorite, yeah.
I want to hear
it. So windows, doors are my favorite products. The reason why is because we are the best at installing them. You know, there's 1,000 different types of windows on the market, doors on the market, different people installing them, different companies. I don't care how good a window you get. If it's not installed properly, it's not going to do you a bit of good. I always tell people, if you buy a submarine window, the best one in the world, and you have me put it on a submarine, you don't want to get in that submarine.
I don't want to get in the submarine either way.
I hear you. So anyway, so that's the thing I say. So it's really important that you have things installed properly. We've been around since 1961. We've got a 4.9 out of 5-star Google review ratings, over 800 reviews. Give us a call. We'll come out and give you a free no obligation estimate.
It's the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. You can find them online at aluminumcompany.com.
Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit fighting to protect people's health, to preserve magnificent places and wildlife, and to combat climate change. Visit us at earthjustice.org. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
O'Reilly! Check engine light on? Take the guesswork out of your check engine light with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free and provides a report with solutions based on over 650 million vehicle scans verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, injury lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
That's ritchielaw.com.
WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. Take us with you on the radio, Instagram, TikTok, Alexa, and YouTube. 99.9 The Fan, the Triangle Sports Leader.
You're listening to the Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
And Hurts drops back 5, winds up, one arching pass, down the middle, it's caught over the shoulder in the end zone. Touchdown, Smith! And that may make it insurmountable. 46-yard touchdown strike, 33-0 Eagles. Wow!
More Kevin Harlan from the Super Bowl last night. What a great voice. What a great play-by-player he is. Doesn't really matter the sport, right? He's amazing in the NBA, amazing at the NFL. Good for Kevin Harlan, and he's fun. At the same time, super, super fun, and I don't find anything contrived, right, about Kevin Harlan. I don't find that there's, like, he's got this phrase that he's just waiting to use. He's just fun. All right, let's Wall of Sound it up.
The Wall of Sound is a function of this studio. There's no doubt about it.
And we will start with the Super Bowl. So, think about Jalen Hurts real quick. Alabama wins it, then gets pulled for Tua the following year, and then hangs around. He could leave. Hangs around. Good soldier. Backup. Then leaves. Goes to Oklahoma. Balls out there. Second round pick in the NFL. Wasn't supposed to play. Supposed to be behind Carson Wentz. Ends up being better than Carson Wentz. Significantly better than Carson Wentz, by the way. Second overall pick. Fast forward now. This is his second Super Bowl, and he finally gets over.
There's an eagerness to want to do it the right way and become champions, and that's every year. Yeah. But it's been a process to get to that point. You know, that's coming from year one, not playing, and sitting behind Carson Wentz, and then coming into the next year and going to the playoffs, first time with Coach Sirianni. It's like, okay, let's go get AJ. You know, I got a guy in Tennessee that's ready. Let's go get AJ. We get so close, and we allow it to fuel us to more to come. And start off great last year. Kind of hit some bumps in the road and slow down a bit, but no panic within. Just stand endured, keep going, and we go get this guy and the cherry on top.
Yeah, they. I think this guy was probably Saquon Barkley, and boy, think about the two players they added. Right, A.J. Brown becomes just an absolute stud target, and Saquon really is the final piece, although they won this game because they were great on both lines. Both lines of scrimmage. Defensive line, offensive line, they were just awesome. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni on this year's battle.
When you have criticism and when you have adversity, I'm grateful for that because it helps you get better. If you embrace the adversity, it helps you get better. And so what and really just doubling down on the things you know are true and not really caring about the opinions of others and doubling down on the things that you know are true. In our case, is tough, detailed together. How do we get better at that? And I said to somebody already, is like, what a great example for my, that I'm going to be able to do for my kids when they're going through struggles on social media or in the world. And I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to be able to look back on this year. So I'm grateful for the adversity because the adversity makes you who you are. I can think back in my entire life of that. And so embrace the adversity, work your butt off, and do it how you know how to do it.
I don't know what they overcame this year. They stayed relatively healthy. They were, I don't think it's even close, the healthiest team when they got to the end of it all. They got Brandon Graham back, right? Because I think he was out for a good chunk, if not all, the playoffs. Anyway, Patrick Mahomes, and the difference in this game, the absolute difference in this game was the impact of Philadelphia's front four on Mahomes, specifically on him. He was unnerved almost from the start. You could tell. I think the best thing that Tom Brady mentioned as an analyst was Mahomes' feet were jittery, right? And that he was not comfortable in the pocket, and he didn't trust his protection because he escaped even when he didn't have to escape, and it ultimately led to 2 turnovers, and that flipped the game.
Threw 2 interceptions and they're in. I mean, I threw a pick 6 and I threw a pick that they returned to the 5-yard line, and they scored immediately after. So when you give a team 14 points, especially a really good football team, a Super Bowl football team, then not a lot of good things happen. And so that's why I take ownership in this loss more than probably any loss in my entire career, is because I put us in a bad spot.
All right, first of all, this shows you how shook Mahomes was. The second interception wasn't returned at all. Zach Baum made a diving catch and laid on the ground. And I think they were at like the 14-yard line or wherever they were. I don't really remember exactly when they took over. But that was the touchdown pass to A.J. Brown. So wasn't at the 5. I'm not even going to argue with Mahomes. It's far from a big deal. But his 2 interceptions led to 14 points. And that you take those 14 points away, and I have no idea what Philly does with those possessions ultimately. If those interceptions don't happen and they're just punts, then, I mean, is the game still 10-0 at halftime? Might be. How different is the second half? How different does Kansas City approach the second half if it's 10-0? How different does Philadelphia approach the second half if it's 10-0? So it definitely mattered. There's no doubt about that. All right, Andy Reid, Kansas City head coach, on moving forward.
We've got a great nucleus of players, and so like we've done before, we work on the things that we're not doing well at, whether it's coach, as a coach or a player, and we all take responsibility for it. And, you listen to Pat, you listen to these other guys, that's how they are. They're stand-up guys with it. The coaches are stand-up about it. They did a better job than what we did. And that starts with me, and it's hard to face. It's hard to look at because all the time you spend, but you do that, and then you get better. That's what you do.
I hope Andy Reid comes back. I hope there's not any... I've run my race with him. I don't know how much longer he's going to coach, but I'd like him to coach forever.
Yes.
His offenses are fun. I think he is awesome.
And if they don't want him there, welcome to Carolina. I'll take him.
I think Andy Reid is going to coach Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
For as long as he wants to coach, and then Andy Reid will retire.
Yeah.
I think that's... By the way, go look at Mike Holmgren's coaching staff in Green Bay. Go check out that group of coaches. Andy Reid was part of that coaching staff. All right. To hockey, 4 nations. Now, this clip goes all the way back to, I think, the beginning of December when they announced the full rosters for all 4 nations. And TNT was doing a Boston Bruins game. I don't know who Boston was playing. But the rosters came out, and Anson Carter asked Brad Marchand who he was looking forward to playing with.
Is there any player in particular that you haven't played with Team Canada that you're looking forward to playing with?
Yeah, I'm excited to play with Jarvis. I hear so many good things about him in the room and what kind of guy he is. So he's a guy that I'm looking forward to being teammates with.
All right. Now, first of all, that's awesome.
It is.
Right? That is really awesome.
Makes you like Brad a little bit more when he likes Jarvis.
I've always liked Brad. I've always liked Marchand. If the Hurricanes could somehow manage to put Marchand on this team,
yeah,
everybody would love him. He's a great player.
You hate him when he's not on your team.
He's a pest. He's not dirty. He's not dangerous. He's just a pest.
Gets in your kitchen.
And he is awesome. He would fit in great here too, by the way. Anyway, the forward lines, perspective anyway, because we haven't seen any games yet, were announced or whatever. They were revealed. I have no idea what it is, how you would phrase it, but Jarvis will play on a line with Marchand and Braden Point from Tampa Bay.
Wow.
Now, Jarvis has openly said that he loved Point's game when he was growing up. And Point's not that much older than Seth, because Point, I think, is 27 maybe, right?
So?
Yeah, something like that. But Point and Jarvis share an agent.
Yeah.
Same agent for Sebastian Aho, by the way. But that's a pretty good third line, by the way. That line is going to be so much fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
I cannot wait. All right, when we come back, Darin Gantt, Panthers.com, was during Super Bowl week in New Orleans following around Bryce Young. We'll talk to Darin Gantt, a little bit about that, a little bit about the game, and a little bit about the Hall of Fame next.
Talking sports, dropping truth. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
If Super Bowl 59 shows us anything, it shows that defense wins championships. That tried and true saying, defense wins championships. And if you're the Carolina Panthers, this is something you have to devote this offseason to fixing. Draft picks, free agency. You have to strengthen up that side of the football. You have to be great on defense in order to win.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friend Gordon Miller, Miller Lending, Kildare Farm Road in Cary. And you might notice today that I am wearing my Miller Lending sweatshirt. It's a hoodie. It's navy. Home of the no closing cost loan. That's right. It should say original no closing cost loan. It should also say on this sweatshirt, which is lovely and it's comfortable, that you'll never pay closing costs as long as you stay with Miller Lending. You'll save thousands of dollars in unnecessary payments. And then when you refinance, because that's what I did last time, I refinanced and lowered my monthly payment, I spend over $300 less a month than my initial loan. That's how good it was when I refinanced. And did I pay closing costs when I refinanced? No, I didn't. Miller Lending on Kildare Farm Road in Cary. They are an equal housing lender, NMLS ID 2502146.
Bonuses used to be everywhere. Boxes of cereal, a baker's dozen, airline upgrades, even without quadruple diamond platinum status. Life is better with the bonus. That's why the North Carolina Education Lottery is adding bonus chances to multiply your win on Multiply the Cash scratch-offs. More chances than ever to win over $140 million in total prizes. Because everything is better with a bonus. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.31 to 4.86. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Jake from State Farm. I just beat my running PR, so I'm celebrating with the Banana Bonanza smoothie.
Hey, and you can keep celebrating when you create an affordable price just for you by bundling your home and auto with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. Go bananas.
I will. Hey, make it a large.
Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Hey guys, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and Cupid's arrow is pointing straight to Bailey's. We're here to help and make it easy for you to find the perfect gift for the one you love. Bailey's has something for everyone and every budget. We have a huge selection of jewelry and gifts for under $500, from David Yurman, Apolita, Mikimoto, Lagos, and more. And if you're looking for something extra special, we also have an amazing selection of diamond jewelry. Shop in-store or online at baileybox.com. Give her a gift that's better than chocolate or roses with the easiest and can't-miss way to make her Valentine's Day extra special with a little black and white striped box from Bailey's Fine Jewelry. Located in Raleigh's Village District and Crabtree Valley Mall, also in Cary's Fenton, Rocky Mount, and Greenville. Just a little reminder from me, Marcy Bailey. Every woman wants a Bailey box.
It's back, folks, and it's better than ever. Who wants to win a custom Caniacs motorcycle? Dennis Cox here for Law Tigers. The Carolina Hurricanes, Law Tigers, Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, and Shiny Side Paint are teaming up again to give one lucky fan a custom Caniacs motorcycle. Go to caniacsbike.com to enter. Sign-ups last until April 6th, and the bike will be given away on the final home game of the season. caniacsbike.com. Law Tigers is a network of independent law firms who are members of the American Association of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers. Law Tigers is not a law firm.
One Adam. Gold. One Adam. Gold.
So I was reading an article about the 10 oddest Guinness World Records, and the thing that caught my eye was most skips by a cat in 1 minute. This woman has a jump rope and is skipping with her cat. Okay, I have got a cat, and let me just tell you, the skipping alone would cause this, but swinging a jump rope anywhere near my sweet kitty Carol, she'd be gone for like 5 days.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Eagles, your Super Bowl 59 champions. Darin Gantt, Panthers.com. Maybe we'll get into that game a little bit. But I do want to talk with Darin Gantt. We'll ask the old guy from Panthers.com the questions about the Bryce Young Radio Row Super Bowl experience. Because I know you wrote about it, and I saw you on Blue Sky at Darin Gantt tweeting about it. First of all, I'm struggling with that. What do? You don't tweet on Blue Sky, right?
Well, I still tweet on Twitter, so I guess I'll still tweet on Blue Sky as well. We'll just call it the act of tweeting whenever you tweet it. Yeah, I'm not going to call it X and whatever. I've heard some people say you should call them skeets, and that's just not a thing I'm ever going to say.
No, that's a very Patrick Mahomes thing. No, I'm not going to say that in the commercial. So what was it like following Bryce around? How in demand was he?
Well, that's the most surprise. The surprising part wasn't anything he said. It's the fact that he was there, and he was there for 2 days. A year ago, he could have walked around offering free food to reporters, and nobody would have wanted to talk to the quarterback of a 2-15 football team that just fired a head coach. So this year, everybody wanted to talk to Bryce, and he obliged. It was here's what I can say. I don't think Bryce is bad at doing media, and I don't think he hates doing media or anything like that. He's just very programmed when he's there. He's got things he wants to say. He does it in a very deliberate way because it's required of him. He actually seemed like he was enjoying some of this. And I love when he was doing, Dan Patrick, Dan Patrick's a pro at this. He knows how to get people to open up and say things. And, so he started talking to Bryce about the short thing and joking about the picture we ran of him with his backpack on last year going into camp, looking like the first day of school, as a way to get in talking about being the short quarterback and getting passes batted down. Well, the thing about Bryce is, he didn't get passes batted down. There was only one all of last season, which was 45th in the 32-team NFL. But then he was able to laugh about it and kind of say, yeah, I saw that picture. There was some funny stuff. So he was playing along. It was just a more comfortable, more relaxed Bryce Young. And it doesn't take much of a reporter, including me, to recognize the metaphor for what happened in the second half of last season when Bryce just looked more comfortable and looked more at ease being Bryce Young instead of all these things everybody told us Bryce Young was supposed to be.
Darin Gantt is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Please tell me I'm wrong if I am. I have never at any point bought into he's 5'10", therefore it's going to be so hard for him because he's been 5'10" his whole life. He was successful at Alabama being 5'10". Yeah, there are times they like to move him out because he can move, but he doesn't get passes batted down. He can operate over the middle. He does that down by the goal line. So he's obviously learned how to overcome the fact that he's 5'10". To me, he was going to succeed or not based on other factors, how he could read a defense, his arm strength, all of those kinds of things. It wasn't going to be because he's 5'10". I think that's one of those tropes that people fall on because he is outside the tail of the tape norm. Am I wrong?
Here's what I will tell you. There are a couple thoughts there. Number one, the night he was drafted, he said, I've been this size my whole life. To which I replied, your poor mother. And to your point about the trope of the short quarterback, when a thing that we know intimately and well on a local basis reaches the realm of the national, a lot of times these people didn't watch any Bryce Young games this year. They're looking for the easy talking point, and that's the easiest point of entry for a conversation about Bryce Young. So I'm not saying everyone in the national media is lazy,
right?
But, people have a certain impression. If you ask people in Charlotte about Joe Burrow, they'd be like, oh, he's the guy with the cigars. It's just part of the conversation. And that's why I thought it was interesting to see Bryce so comfortable in that realm, is that we haven't seen him be effusive with the media or really gregarious. It was funny to me. Jake DeLome was there doing shows for us on Panthers.com. You should check it out on the YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button for all that good content. But Jake is naturally gregarious, and he was at home in New Orleans. For God's sakes, the governor sent a handler over to our set and said, Mr. DeLome, the governor would like to talk to you. That's who Jake DeLome is in New Orleans. But Jake was wandering around looking at his phone one day, and he felt somebody kind of jab him and say, hey, man, look where you're going. And it was Bryce. And he was like, I wasn't expecting him to joke and to banter just because we haven't seen it out of him.
Right.
But, Bryce is, as many people in their early 20s do, is coming to grips with who they are as a human being.
So I know we've probably talked about it, but final thing on Bryce, and then we'll get to the Hall of Fame and the Panthers' disappointment in the voting. Tell me what the biggest difference you think was in Bryce over the last, say, month and a half of the season.
The biggest, it was that comfortability. It was that being willing to let it rip. He looked very, tentative, for most of 2023 in the first two games of this year when he got benched. It looked very scripted and programmatic, and, I'm going to do this now. This is my first read, and now I'm going to look over there. Oh, there is somebody in my lap. Whereas second half of the year, he's moving the pocket. He's getting out in space. He's sidearming stuff, finding windows and things. Here's what we've always known about Bryce. He is accurate. He is a good distributor of the ball. He is smart with where he goes with it. One of the things that's interesting to me, you want to talk about the way narratives, and I hate that word, change over time. When he walked into the league the night of the draft, Dave Tepper made some headlines by saying, we think this guy's an elite distributor. He's a point guard, and it'll help us down the road because we don't have to invest in as high a grade of receivers for him, and we can invest that money in other places. We took a really circuitous path to get there, but the point we were at the end of last season validates what Dave Tepper said that night, because he was out there with a 34-year-old Adam Thielen, and Xavier Liggett was in and out of the lineup. And other than that, it was a bunch of undrafted guys, and the only drafted receiver he had for long stretches of the second half when he looked so good was David Moore. So he kind of proved Dave's point in a very roundabout way.
Yeah, I would get an elite wide receiver. I don't think you have to go out and sign an elite wide receiver.
I don't think you got to spend $30 million on T. Higgins.
I agree. I
think if you could find somebody who was young and could run and could get downfield and create some space that way, that would help. But, to the point, he was out there doing it at a pretty high level second half of the year, throwing to Thielen and sometimes Liggett and Jalen Coker and David Moore. That underlines what the owner was talking about that night.
Yeah, I talked to Joe Person last week. I'd be in favor of a contract extension for Adam Thielen. I think he's still that good. Let me get to.
Well, we talked to Adam a little bit while we were in New Orleans as well, and I don't know that he's got two more in him. He's got this one, but he made it very clear when I was talking to him the other day. He's like, he said that whole thing at the golf tournament the other week when he said he's got football left in him. He said, I didn't know who that person was, and, I wasn't expecting to make headlines in football. I was just there to play golf. But, yeah, he's tired. He's been through this for a long time.
I love I still love Adam Thielen. All right, let me ask you about Luke Kuechly and Steve Smith.
Kind of a drag.
I'm not surprised that Steve Smith didn't get in last year. Although, in retrospect, I don't understand why the class was as small as it was. And you and I were going back and forth on Blue Sky last week about, and I was just talking about Torrey Holt versus Sterling
Right.
Sharp. And I realized that Sterling Sharp was voted in by a different committee. It seems weird that a guy who played, not that long ago is in like an old-timers committee. But both Smith and Holt were better than Sterling Sharp. And I'm not saying Sterling Sharp wasn't good. He was awesome. But I think Holt and Smith were both better. We need to get them in the Hall.
If Sterling Sharp played in the modern context, he would have been a first. I don't want to say first ballot because I do think that's very, very overused. But Sterling Sharp in a modern context would have gotten in much sooner and wouldn't have needed to be a seniors candidate.
Right.
So I just think that, because of the Tony Baselli example, because of the, Terrell Davis example, we don't hold short careers against guys the way we used to as a committee.
Right.
The other thing I will tell you is that because of, the committee takes a lot of stick. What's the easiest thing to do? Make fun of a bunch of writers who didn't play the game, blah, blah, blah. This one's not our fault, gang. I mean, the rules changes that the Hall of Fame's board of directors put in place practically guaranteed that this year's class was going to be a short one. And I just think that it's unfortunate at a lot of levels because, the guys who were in, we shouldn't take anything away from Jared Allen or Eric Allen or any of the other, Sterling Sharp and Antonio Gates are all super deserving Hall of Fame players. And to have them dragged down by the guys who didn't get in is unfortunate. I will say I think it's unfortunate that they decided to change these rules and enact shorter classes in a way that me and the other 48 voters in this process can't help. The math just ain't mathing. The problem is not that there aren't enough votes for Luke Kuechly. The problem is if you give us 7 names, all of whom belong in the Hall of Fame, and tell us to pick 5, they're all deserving. So the votes are naturally going to split, and it turns into the Iowa caucus. Nobody ever gets a majority at the Iowa caucus. It's, this guy got 35%, this guy got 28, this guy got 22. That's the way the votes go here. So it's difficult, and I feel bad because for all the criticisms of this class, it's a great class of guys. All these guys are deserving. But if you would have augmented it with Luke Kuechly and Adam Vinatieri or Luke Kuechly and Torrey Holt, people would have said, that's a great class of Hall of Famers. So, that's a long way of saying it's not my fault. Please stop yelling at me. But also, they responded to some complaints of former players, and not just Deion Sanders, but they responded to the complaints of some of the former guys who got into the Hall of Fame and then believed that they were the only ones that deserved it, and it should be harder for everybody else, kind of like immigrants like that. But it's frustrating to me because in my mind, Luke Kuechly did everything a football player could do for the time he played football. This was part of my presentation on behalf of Luke in that committee.
Right.
He played 8 seasons. 7 of those years, he was all-pro. There were only 2 players in the history of football in exchange for money that did it at a higher percentage than his 87.5% all-pros. Barry Sanders, Jim Brown.
Jeez.
That's the club. If you're in a club with Barry Sanders and Jim Brown and y'all are the only 3 in it, guess what? You're a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And an artificial construct kept Luke Kuechly out of the Hall of Fame this year. I don't imagine it'll keep him out for very much longer.
What I don't understand is why, baseball doesn't do a lot of things better, but I think their Hall of Fame and their process might be better. Here's the list.
Yeah, tell that to the guy who didn't vote for Ichiro. Go yell at him and not me.
Well, we do. We do, but at least it didn't keep him out of the Hall of Fame, right? Like it just was a stupid. It was a stupid whatever, it was a protest vote or whatever it is.
They did it. They did it for the reasons they did it. I just believe that enforcing an 80% standard isn't necessarily bad, but in my mind, do that at a vote for 5 or at a vote to 5, because if you give me a list of 7 and say pick 5, then somebody's going to get left out when they're all deserving. And at that point, once you've gone from an initial list of 175 to 50, 50 to 25, 25 to 15, 15 to 10, 10 to 7, you're elite, baby. You
Right.
are there. You're one of those guys, and then enforcing that 80% standard to me is a step too far. And this was the class it created, and so we'll see if they've got the stomach for it. I mean, I would imagine attendance is going to be down at the Hall of Fame enshrinement, which is a shame because I love the Hall of Fame and everything about it. I think it's the happiest place on earth. By the time you get to Canton, nobody's mad about anything anymore. You know, you're there to celebrate all the cool stuff we like about the sport, and it's just unfortunate that not as many people get to enjoy that this year.
All right, final thing for you, Darin Gantt, Panthers.com, Ask the Old Guy. Your impressions of the game. Obviously, this was all about the front four of Philadelphia, but what surprised you the most about what we saw?
I guess the only thing that surprised me is that the team with the better coach and the better quarterback didn't do the things late to make it matter. But, my God, they didn't have a chance to do it late because the only person in that building that was better than Kendrick Lamar was Vic Fangio. And it's just it was a similar beatdown. Vic is really good, the original Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator, 1995. Yeah, that's why they call me the old guy. Vic was great last night, and he's got a bunch of dudes. And somebody at work earlier today asked me, you know, what's the difference between the Panthers and a defense like that? And I said about 6 players because he just kept bringing them in waves. And it wasn't any one guy. I mean, and it's always unfortunate when it's MVP voting because the MVP should have come from the Philadelphia defense, but who do you vote for?
Right.
I mean, there were 5 or 6 of them who split the ballot, and we see what happens when you split ballots unnecessarily. So, no, I mean, any of those guys individually were very good. The collective whole was the big difference to me.
Yeah, I agree. There was no way. I mean, I guess you could have voted Josh Sweat, right? Who had 2.5 sacks.
That would have been the stock play, just like Coney Ely could have been the MVP of Super Bowl 50, except they lost.
So you think Vic Fangio defeated the Kansas City offense? Was that worse than that was worse than what Kendrick Lamar did to Drake?
Almost.
Right. That, like when I saw, like I really don't get into the gossip part of this, but I knew that the diss track won 5 Grammys, which is one of the all-time greatest things ever. But when I saw Serena Williams on stage, I went, "Oh wait, what? That basically was the haymaker, right?"
Yeah, I mean that was it. I mean, listen, I look forward to, and I'm a writer, and I think like a writer a lot of times. I look forward to the 10,000-word think pieces about Samuel L. Jackson's role in that show last night and what it tells us on a socio-political plane.
It made it more palatable for people that look like you and I.
That stuff was fascinating because that role, Samuel L. Jackson was subversive last night.
Yeah, he was.
And to do it in front of the President of the United States, that was bold. And I don't know that a lot of people necessarily got to the same place I got to.
It was amazing. Anyway, Darin Gantt, Panthers.com, at Darin Gantt on Twitter and Blue Sky. All right, sir. I thank you so much. I'll bug you again soon.
Yeah, I know you will. It's never a bother. You know I like talking to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
See y'all.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we will go into a rewind, but we haven't gotten into the Super Bowl halftime show or the ads. How many ads jumped? First of all, they were $8 million for a 30-second spot. There were 3 ads that I truly liked of the entire day. There was a lot of same. We had eyebrows jumping off people. We had mustaches jumping off people.
I know, a lot of flying hair.
Yes. The first one I actually thought was good to a point.
Right.
Right. But there were 3 spots that resonated with me. And we'll talk a little bit about the halftime show, and then we'll get into a rewind next.
Talking sports so you don't have to pretend to know stuff. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
The North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services is looking for people age 21 or older to volunteer in long-term care facilities. Community Advisory Committee volunteers help residents and their families advocate for the needs of individuals living in long-term care facilities, such as nursing homes, assisted living facilities, and family care homes. Volunteers must complete orientation and training to become designated and certified representatives of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Program. Visit ncdhhs.gov/aging to find your county's ombudsman.
Have you ever noticed how little things can make a big difference? When your neighbor is out of town, why not pick up their newspaper and put it on their doorstep? How about asking if you can help when you see a person with a disability trying to get out of their car? Or simply smiling when you meet a stranger? It takes so little time, but it works wonders. In North Carolina, we have always taken pride in being kind. Little things do make a difference. Makes you feel better. Makes everyone around you feel better.
Did you know that since you have public power, your electricity is operated and controlled by people in your community, not by a for-profit investor-owned company? These local folks are directly accountable to you. They don't answer to shareholders. They make decisions for the good of your community. What's more, your public power provider invests in your community, providing jobs and supporting your local economy. Local people working together to meet local needs. That's public power. Learn more at electricities.com.
If you recently lost health coverage due to a life change, healthcare.gov is here for you. Like it was there for Marcus when he lost his job, and Keisha when she turned 26 and lost her parents' insurance, and Elena when she went off Medicaid. There are many other ways to qualify. Visit healthcare.gov today to see if you're eligible to enroll. Limited time to enroll. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
As fall championships begin, the Governor's Highway Safety Program would like to remind you to buckle your seatbelt when traveling home from today's events. Whether you're driving out of town or across town this holiday season, wearing a seatbelt is your best defense against injury or death in a crash. During the busiest time of travel, prioritize your safety and buckle up. Every seat, every time. And remember, click it or ticket. It's the law. This message brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association and the Governor's Highway Safety Program.
It's that time of year when we gear up to cheer on our favorite team. Don't let COVID-19 and the flu stop you. So make sure you don't have to cancel on the team you love the most by getting your flu and COVID vaccines. They are safe and effective. Both flu and COVID vaccines have been updated to fight against new virus strains spreading this fall and winter. So make sure you don't miss the big game and you protect those around you. Ask your healthcare provider about updated flu and COVID-19 shots.
Visit myspot.nc.gov and find yours today.
AARP is working hard to make sure people in North Carolina are getting the most out of life. Whether it's helping you stay healthy, save more money, care for loved ones, or simply have some fun, AARP is making a difference in communities across the state. You have a wise friend and fierce defender with AARP. Learn more about progress being made for older adults in the state by listening to AARP Without Limits. You can find the latest episodes of AARP Without Limits wherever you listen to your podcasts.
A crisis moment is any moment where you feel overwhelmed and as if you aren't able alone to handle what's happening. You don't have to be alone with that feeling, and when that feeling comes is exactly when you should reach out, you should get connected, and you should be in community. We care, we listen, we help. Call, text, or chat 988 anytime.
Call, text, or chat 988-24/7. Brought to you by the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services.
Gold. Gold.
Some of the best trades ever made are the ones you don't make. Again, I'm sure that there are tons of stories like that.
Kind of like a relationship. Sometimes the best ones are the ones that you didn't go out with, like that person that you tried to, and then you see them 10 years later and you're like, oh, dodged a bullet.
So you sound like you've been there.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Adam Gold Show.
It's the Adam Gold Show. I am Adam Gold. Victoria on the ones and twos. All right, we're going to get into a rewind in a minute. I thought the halftime show was very good. I am not a normal Kendrick Lamar listener. I have listened to a fair amount because my son listens to a fair amount. I had certainly heard, like, I don't even know the names of some of the tracks, but some of the ones that I'm more familiar with, he didn't even play. He didn't even use. But I am familiar with the one that won the Grammy. And there seemed to be like little hints at them throughout the whole thing. I thought the track with SZA was good.
Yeah.
Right?
No, she's great.
She's amazing. And Serena, I didn't know it was her.
I didn't either. I had to go back and look when people said Serena Williams was on there. What? Where? There are people everywhere.
Well, I think Serena, I don't know. She just looks a little bit different now than she did a year ago. Anyway, she looked great. And so I wasn't like, wait a sec, was that Serena? Because she was only there for like a hot minute.
Yeah.
Like they had her on camera for a second, and I guess that was planned because it was all about trolling Drake.
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of thought that went behind that whole thing.
So there was also a protester.
I know.
So I don't remember actually seeing it live. But obviously, I've seen it. I've seen video of it. It was a protester who had a flag that was pro-Palestinian and pro-Sudan. So a political statement was made, and I saw where that person was detained, and I'm not sure why that person was detained. That person was a performer.
He was.
It was one of the 400 dancers that were part of the show. So there was no law broken. It was just a protest, which First Amendment. So as long, and I put this out earlier, unless we are now post-constitutional America, and we're not, First Amendment. Not all speech is like comfortable for people. It's just something that we have to live with. As long as no laws were broken. Like I've said this before. You may not like it, but it is incredibly American to burn the American flag. You might not like it. Most of us don't like it. But it's protected. So you just have to learn how to move past it. That protest, we're not even going to talk about whether or not the protest is right or wrong or anything. Just a protest, regardless of what it would be. Move on. Okay, I get it. It makes some people uncomfortable. Got to get comfortable with it. That's what it is. It's just part of being an American. Anyway, that person has been banned from all future NFL events. All future NFL events. Awesome. I'm not sure how many NFL events that person was in line to be a part of.
Yep.
But he will be a part of none of them.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. The NFL feels better about itself today. All right, let's rewind.
You didn't even talk about the flying mustaches.
No, we didn't get to the ads real quick.
Yeah.
First of all, $8 million per 30 seconds.
That's all.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
How many ads do you remember? Really remember? I did like Eugene Levy's eyebrows.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was the first ad that jumped out, but I don't think the spot itself was very good. Eugene, because I don't remember what it was about. Eugene Levy's eyebrows flying off his face were awesome, right? And Eugene Levy is super funny anyway, but I don't remember what the ad was about. The Nike ad, right? Celebrating the best female athletes.
Oh, yeah.
With all of the I can't, I do, I can't, I do, I can't, you can't, you do, all of that. So it was largely about basketball, but that's not all it was. It actually started with Richardson, the sprinter, track and field. There was gymnastics. There was there were 4 other sports involved there. There was tennis.
Yes.
There were 4 other sports beyond basketball. It was a tremendous commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous commercial. I thought the Beckham Stella Artois commercial that they showed in the third quarter was so good. And I thought great because we had already gotten through the Dunk Kings commercials.
Oh, man, which was terrible.
See, I kind of liked it for the overall scope of it.
Yeah.
Because it had Bill Belichick, by the way, was in it, and his girlfriend.
I know. And see, my first thought was that's the kiss of death. Because, last year, Ben Affleck had his girlfriend at the time, Jennifer Lopez, in there.
Oh.
So I'm like, oh, wow, you just jinxed Bill Belichick's relationship.
That's
I'm
fair.
telling you, next year.
That's fair.
Next Super Bowl, they're not together.
Okay.
That's what it is.
That is
Dunk Kings.
I would, maybe Bill should have thought twice about that.
Right?
But those spots were good, and they took Ben and his, I guess they're brothers, Casey Affleck.
Yes.
Right? So Casey in one of the 2 spots was like, man, we should have called Matt Damon. Right? And, and Ben makes some comment, offhand comment against Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm.
The best part of the Beckham commercial was that, the whole premise is that his parents are telling David Beckham that he had a twin. And they named him Other David.
Oh, that's funny.
And he was in America. And so he goes to America to find his twin, and it's Matt Damon.
Oh, boy.
Right? And it turns out that he's got this, he punts something, and it just goes off into space.
Mm-hmm.
And they become friends and all of that. And so Matt Damon, who calls himself Dave Beckham, says to David Beckham, he goes, so you're famous? And he says, yeah, kind of. He goes, like Matt Damon famous? He said, more like Ben Affleck famous.
Oh, boy.
It's so funny. It is it's a great spot. And, the beer's good, so I remembered what the spot was for.
I liked the
3 spots that I liked.
The Bud Light one with the sloths. My dad also really liked that.
That was okay.
It's the case of the Mondays. I talked about that as a 7th inning thing.
You did, absolutely.
For a minute, they made Case of the Mondays. I was like, oh, that's it. That's what I talked about.
It's pretty cool. But I didn't really like any of the commercials. The sloths, not as good as the lizards.
Yeah.
The lizards were better.
Seal being a seal. It was a little creepy, but it was funny. It was a little weird.
Yeah, it was all right. I don't know if it was $8 million good.
Yeah, I know.
The Tom Brady batteries. Yeah, no.
I don't know if I'd spend that.
Didn't feel that. And when they went to halftime and Gronk said nothing in the first segment, I thought clearly they didn't get those batteries to Gronk.
Right. Exactly.
Why was he there? He's just sitting there on set.
That's what he does.
With his eyes wide open, what am I doing?
Bump on a log.
Why am I here? He was okay. I think there was too much. There was not enough time for too many people.
Yeah.
On Fox's halftime set, they should have just pared it down to, honestly, just give me Howie and Strahan. Just give me those 2 guys. I think they consistently make the most cogent points.
I even like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. They have a good,
Well, but they're ESPN now.
I know,
So,
but those were good.
Those
but
are
yeah,
the days.
I'm with you. There's too many people.
All right, should we get back to the rewind? All right, to the rewind. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBSSports.com. Jalen Hurts was the MVP. But the reason the game was what it was, a blowout, was because of the Eagles' defense, and the line was probably as healthy as Kansas City's was all year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to try and take away from the Eagles' defense. They played awesome. They didn't blitz a single time, which was unheard of for Vic Fangio. The last time he played Mahomes was I think it was in the playoffs when he was missing both of his pass rushers, including Bradley Chubb. Blitzed 66% of the time. Mahomes carved him up. They didn't blitz at all. We got pressure home with 4. I mean, we talk about this. The Giants did it against the Patriots.
Yeah.
If you're playing an all-time great quarterback, and Mahomes is still that, even though and I wrote about this for CBSSports.com, like, I think the Brady-Mahomes comparisons, we got to like smash the brakes, like hit the parking brake on those things.
Well, we should have been doing that anyway.
Probably. But yeah, like to beat a great quarterback, you need to get home with 4. And if you're getting home with 4 and you've got good players on the back end, you can really do some damage to any quarterback. You can definitely do some damage to an all-time quarterback. And the Eagles clearly, motivated. I mean, clearly they have a ton of talent. And like Howie Roseman did an incredible job. You think about losing Jason Kelce, losing Fletcher Cox. You do that and you still replace those guys who are the literal backbone of your team and in the locker room, and they still go out and win the Super Bowl. I mean, you're right. The story is the defensive line and how they pressured Mahomes all night, like immediately. I think I saw Mike Sando's article on The Athletic. It was, Mahomes is like time to throw is like 3.38 seconds, which time to throw is a tricky stat because one, it can imply you're having great protection, or it can imply, you're running laterally without being able to throw the ball because your receivers are covered. And when Mahomes is in those situations, his production, his EPA plummets. And this was one of those cases.
The other thing about this game, and we talked about it this past week, whether it was with Brooke Pryor on Thursday, Bridget Condon on Friday, or really earlier in the week, we've been talking about Mahomes. We've been talking about Saquon. We've been talking about Steve Spagnuolo and how they were going to, like the way I thought they would approach the game, which they did. We hadn't been talking about the Eagles' defense, which proved to be the best unit.
I think statistically they were the best scoring defense in football. I mean, the Eagles lost one game after their Week 5 bye, and it was when Jalen Hurts got hurt and left the game, and the Commanders stole one from them. So this is the team in Philly. So I think you can make the case over plenty of years, and you can talk about these Tom Brady situations too, where I think the Falcons game applies, where the Atlanta Falcons in that Super Bowl 10 years ago were the better overall team. And I think the 49ers certainly once, the Brock Purdy game, maybe twice, maybe not. Maybe that Chiefs team was better. But like I think the Eagles now twice and the 49ers once against Mahomes were certainly the better football teams and the better football rosters.
Right.
And the biggest difference, and again, like, so I don't really, I'm not bothered by, being wrong about my pick of the Chiefs to win. I mean, it was dead ass wrong. But like, it's the advantage, the reason you pick the Chiefs, the reason you back the Chiefs and back Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
And like, that's the deciding factor. And if he's playing poorly, and he's completely pressured. And by the way, that's his worst game as a pro.
Yes.
Regular season, postseason, preseason, whatever, ever. And it's like easily his worst game as a pro. If a guy who is trying to make a claim for greatest quarterback of all time goes out and lays an egg like that against a really good roster and a good defense, that's the result you're going to get 9 times out of 10.
So you're able to pressure with 4. You don't have to add blitzers, which takes guys out of coverage. I mean, it was a recipe for disaster for Kansas City's offense. Had Kansas City been able to figure out how to protect Mahomes, it might have been different. But I thought they were unnerved right away. And they never got it. They never at any point figured it out. And I said this, and we don't have time to play the other clip that Will Brinson commented on, but I said this on social media during the game, and I said it in the first half, that Mahomes actually looked like Bryce Young did his first year. In that my criticism of Bryce, and this only comes with better protection and getting used to having better protection, is that he stared at the rush, and even when the pressure wasn't there, it was there. My phrase about defense is great defense has a cumulative effect. This goes for any sport you play where there is a defender on an offensive player. If you play great defense, you can get away with a possession or a sequence in which your defense is not great because there's a tendency to rush when you've been pressured before. And I think that got to Mahomes. It was clear that it affected him all half. All half. And obviously in the second half it didn't get any better because Philadelphia did not let up. So there you go. Super Bowl 59 is done. Who's going to win Super Bowl 60? That'll probably come up tomorrow.
Carolina Panthers.
Maybe.
Why not? Throw it out there.
Maybe. We'll just say maybe. Probably not. You're right. But maybe. All right. We'll get back to all of our other stuff. A lot of hoops tomorrow after Carolina beats Clemson. Thank you, Victoria. Bye.
Questioning goalie interference calls since day one. The Adam Gold Show on the North Carolina Sports Network.
Hey, it's Adam Gold from my friends at FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. And actually, we are almost at March. It's hard to believe. February is a short month, and I don't know if it's not shorter this year than ever, but college basketball is March, and new customers to FanDuel can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Will North Carolina win again? Plus 200 at Clemson. $150 in bonus bets to do whatever it is you want. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Get in on the hoops action before March takes over. FanDuel.com/AdamGold. Let's go.